Welcome, my children. Hello, my children. Good afternoon. How are you all today? Welcome. I say welcome. Welcome, my brothers and sisters. Oh, my brother Kingsley is here. Yes, my brother. My brother Kingsley. My brother Kingsley. How are you today, my
I'm
brother?
very well. Wait, Thanos, what did you do? You're playing. We should even play that music in the background.
I don't know. It's this new feature I see on it.
Ah,
It's like
that's
I
awesome.
think it's I don't know. I think it's waiting for when once it starts,
Okay,
it plays
okay, like
until
an intro
yeah,
song, kind of like you were
yeah.
waiting.
It's
Like, oh, okay, okay.
elevator music.
It's actually it's actually like it's actually nice. It's Musk, Elon Musk music. Let's
Yeah.
just
Oh, Elon Musk, that dude has no taste, man. Shapes like a goddamn pineapple.
yeah, it's crazy. How's your day?
And it was good. Just work. I was at work. I went into the
Yeah.
office today, so I had a bunch of stuff to do. But I managed to knock it out, and I left a bit early. So
Which means you didn't watch the presentation like me too. I had a
no, I didn't
presentation.
watch it live. I actually had to
Exactly,
go on
me
the
too. I
YouTube
didn't watch
and
it live. Yeah,
watch it on the YouTube stream
afterwards. Yeah.
after, and it was actually quite interesting. It's not different to what they did last year. It's the same thing they did last year.
Yeah, it is the same thing. Yeah, the same
Yeah,
unveiling
they did
happened as well.
a digital unveil, and then they did the live stream.
The live
So
stream. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, that's it.
so it's
Uh,
not nothing new, but it was interesting. Cars
it
black,
was.
cars
Yeah,
black.
nobody's. In fact, I remember the last space we had. You saying we already know it's not going to be black. Therefore, as long as it's fast, no problem.
Yeah, I
That
don't.
was what came to my mind when I
Yeah,
just
look,
it
man, I
was
don't really
different.
care what color it is. I just
Yeah,
want it to be, you know what I mean?
but
Like I tweeted last night.
the car looks mean.
Yeah, but
The
is it
black looks
mean?
mean.
Black always
Yeah, like
no black is
yeah,
black is excellence. I'm not gonna say black always looks mean, but black is excellence. But
like
it looks
no,
mean. It does.
like the arrogance of it. It came out as if like you could see it in your feet, like muscular because of the way the fiber of the body works. It looks so muscular, different from when the W13 came. It was just
It looks bulky. Yeah, I tweeted it. Say it looks a bit slimmer than last the W13, who looked a bit
mhm.
bulky. You could kind of look at it like, yeah, that looks like a whale. Can see why they call it a
Yeah.
boat. You know what I mean?
the,
But
the the part of the top where the Inos logo used to be, the way it's still there, of course, but it's little red now. The way it
oh,
blended into the back of the car, it's almost as like this. I don't know if you've seen a cobra trying to attack, like almost as if the veins are coming out from behind. It was great. I actually like the car,
it
honestly,
looks good.
not just
It,
because it's black. It's really, really
it looks
slick
good.
and good.
It looks good. The question now is, what is what the proof is in the pudding.
They put it,
Will
yeah.
all of the work that they've been doing since last year, all of that data collection, will it actually pay off? Because
Yes. Oh, yeah, they have a lot of data to work with now, exactly. And another thing, the front wings, I noticed it had four end plates like that. Oh,
they
Mercedes has
figured a
already
way to
three, three,
keep
three.
the end plates they had last year by, because remember
Uh-huh.
that what they banned it was it needed to be one flow structure that attached to the end plate, and it
Attached to,
didn't. So
yes,
they
yes,
figured a
yes,
way,
yes.
because you know me, these guys aren't fools. They're not going to unlearn something. So they figured,
Yeah.
okay, it must have given
How
them
do
a
we
benefit
attach it and
again
keep the
last year.
regulation? Yeah.
It must have had a gain
Yeah.
for them last year, so they didn't want to lose that. So how do we keep it? Come you come
Yeah,
you
because
boxes.
the exact same thing they did was what Ferrari did, but in a way, I don't see any difference between them. But I was reading, I think it was Danny that posted where the wordings were a bit different from what Mercedes were doing at the
I
time
think you need
for
to
a
do, what's that
design
guy's
that.
name?
Mhm.
That black guy with a big afro. What's his name? Is it Collins? I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
Sam.
Sam.
Okay, the guy with the
Yeah,
head. Yeah,
he
yes,
did a
yes.
thread about the Ferrari, and if you read it, go down to where that part. Apparently, the wing
Hmm.
was never actually illegal last year. What happened
Hmm.
was Mercedes just decided they didn't want the hassle of having to you
Ah,
know deal with any
argue, maybe
potential
deal with
protests.
it with all of the problem of the
Yeah,
W13 and then
because
having to deal
remember,
with that as a
we've
side
always
hustle.
said it's very unlikely you'll see Mercedes bring something to the track that's is illegal.
Exactly. They actually the development process of that particular. They said that even from the CAD design, everything, the FIA was
It's
aware
similar to
of it.
DAS, isn't it? It's similar. It's the same thing
Yeah,
with DAS.
yeah.
You can't. I don't see an organization like that bringing something to a car that they know it's actually going to be
Local, yeah,
illegal. So,
that is not exactly
but
absolutely. Yeah.
but the thing now is, are they going to utilize that? Is it going to be a development part that they're going to use? Going forward. But we'll see. All right, hold on there, Kingsley. What's up, Anthony?
Anthony.
Man, them, we are back in back, baby.
Yeah, boy. I'm not celebrating yet, man. Whilst I like the black, it's not the black. I'm more excited. I want more than anything else. It's the speed. I need that. I need that. To be back at the front of the grid because I don't want to be black. It be black, and then we're struggling in the midfield. Like, no, that's not what I want. I want the. You know what I mean?
I just have a different feeling for this car. Okay, maybe my faith in Mercedes is so high because I feel they basically learned from the W13 and then fixed all of its flaw. For all of its flaw, inherent in that car was some speed. We
It
could
had
see what that
potential.
car can do. Sometimes the potential was there, exactly. So maybe they found a way to. I actually like the approach this season. They are kind of cautiously optimistic. They had to taper down the expectations. Like, okay, we will see if it is fast or not. S Y and Z will try to catch up with the front runners and all that stuff. And I think this car is going to hit
I hope it
around it
does
from.
because at the end of the day, Red Bull is still the team to beat. You have to catch
Absolutely.
them, you have to beat them.
First,
And the thing is,
yeah,
we don't know. Red Bull had a stable platform to develop from, so it's a matter for them. It's evolution rather than revolution. Mercedes, on the other hand,
yeah,
they're trying to do revolution as well as evolution at the same time, so
at the
as to
same time,
try and catch
yeah,
up. But
yeah,
if because one of the problems, reading about it, one of the problems they had last year was the car was designed to run at a specific ride height, and that's where the
yeah.
sweet spot is. But because of the porpoising, that sweet spot was no longer there. So it was a matter of okay, compromise. They're gonna have to give up something. So and in giving up, like raising the ride height and all of that to deal with the porpoising and the uncomfortable,
Yeah,
that brought more drag, which then made him slower in a straight line, and then
yeah, of course.
all the other issues that brought to them. So they've had a year of learning. I don't think this year we can. It's a situation where they can come and like, yeah, we're still. No, you had a year of learning. You
Gathering
you
data.
you had enough data gathering. You gathered enough data to build yourself a model.
Oh yes, they have a solid baseline.
To
Yeah.
work from. So this year it's a matter. It's a case of, well, okay, if they start, if I think if they can start the season where, because I don't expect them to be immediately overall Red Bull's advantage. So I think if
I'm more greedy than that. I'm expecting them to be at the paces of the Red
oh,
Bull.
okay,
Well,
well, I'm not going to.
from
I
on
say if they start the year first race
mm,
a
Two
tenth to two
two
tenths off
tenths.
Red Bull, then that's good news because that's an
Similar to say 2021, kind
yes,
of.
because that's an excellent
Okay.
platform to start from. Because if you're only
Yeah.
that far
Yeah.
off, and given that
Mm-hmm.
most of last year they spent dealing with problems rather than trying to look for performance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they probably have a steep development because if you listen to TOTO Wolff, he said, they the side pods that we see now won't be. There's going to be iterations to it, so it's going to evolve over the season.
Yeah,
So,
like
so it's
yeah.
clear they've got a design development plan in mind. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for if the closer they get to Red Bull, if they're close at the start of the season, then that bodes well because they have they have more wind tunnel ATR allowance than Red Bull and Ferrari,
The Red
so
Bull
they
and
can
Ferrari. Yeah.
utilize that. And it's a matter of fingers crossed. I'm me. I'm always optimistic on that. And last year I told you, I said I think they're going to come back and they're going to be right up there. But
Yeah.
I'm still cautiously optimistic at the same time because at the end of the day, you're chasing a moving target, and it's not
I
easy
yeah,
to catch a
I am
moving
from
target.
expecting.
I've just put up something that Ahmed put up in regards to W14 is 5/10 off the pace of S23 and RB19 with reliability issues, but at least it looks
Where is he getting that from?
cool. I'll just put
Yeah, I
it in
saw
the
it, but
in
I'm
the.
looking at it. But where did he get that information from?
Gosh,
How is he
don't
gonna?
know.
How are you gonna say the W14 is 5/10 off the pace?
Who is this Ahmed Gapis?
That's just nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. I don't know why people. Gee, I don't know. It's just nonsense. I don't even pay it.
There was an issue with apparently there was an issue with the PU today at Silverstone. It was having engine problems.
This to what is being said. Apparently, it's something to do with mounting the PU. So it's not an actual PU. Not an actual issue with the PU, but people are starting to lose their minds already, overreacting. I'm like, okay, it's called a shakedown for a reason. This is what's supposed to happen.
Yeah,
it's the first time they're actually going to put it on. They fully
Mm-hmm.
assembled. This is the first time that they fully assembled the car and put it on track. So if you find issues, that's the point of a shakedown. You're supposed to find issues. I mean, imagine how they would have reacted in 2014 when they heard that Mercedes couldn't. What was it a week before they went testing? They couldn't start fire up the PU. Or they were struggling.
Yeah,
they were like they weren't even sure that they would be able to do 2 laps in testing, and then they turn up and boom. It's just like I understand. I get people want them to be back up front, but it's just the overreaction that everything is like. It's really frustrating. Like, come on, this is what sports is. It's not a linear sort of thing. It's not binary. It ebbs and flows. You can't expect them to win every race, every championship. It doesn't work like that. They're gonna screw up, and they have to accept the screw up. The screw up last year. Now this year, let's try and put that right.
Opportunity to remedy
Put that right.
What do you guys think of the overall concept of the car that they brought this season? Now, because it is naturally an evolution of last year's car. Because if you look at what caught my eye is where the engine sits. It's similar to the Alpine, but it's got like a little bathtub at the top going where the halo is, which actually
I saw that.
I
saw that. I was like, I want to see what it looks like because we've yet to see a picture of it from the back, which is actually interesting. You've seen pictures from every angle except from the back, and I think from the back you then get a better idea. But it seems like it's a way of like it's how they're channeling the hot air to come exit at the back of the on the rear beam wing as well. So but it's an interesting look. It's not again. I think they couldn't just scrap everything and start from fresh. That wouldn't make any sense for them to do that. That'd be a waste of time because then you'd start back. It's a whole learning process all over again with a brand new car. So what they've learned from last is a matter of just building on that. If you can iron out the kinks that caused the problem, then I think it's the right path. And historically, Mercedes has always been a team that has gone their own separate ways in terms of their philosophy. If you look at every car from 2014 up until now, it doesn't look like any other car. Everybody seems to be morphing towards a Red Bull or a Ferrari style of look. You know what I mean? And whilst that's probably the easiest thing to do, but then in that case, Red Bull and Ferrari already have an advantage in that aspect because it's their idea, so they know it's easier for them to build on. Because Kingsley, we talked about it last year with the chassis and how they've assembled the internals. Like, if the design they have, philosophy they've gone with works and it gives them the performance they expect and puts them ahead,
it won't be easy to copy.
No one can copy that because then that would take an actual. You actually have to redo the whole
You
internals,
build a new
everything.
chassis.
So
You build new chassis
and
to do that.
again, the side pods, it's bodywork. You can shape bodywork, you can put any bodywork on the W13, but you can't put, if the W13 works, it can't be the opposite for other teams. So, I commend them for that approach, because again, it's worked for them, so why change it?
Why change it? It's bold, actually.
It's bold. It's bold and it's risky, but
yes,
from what we've
bold
seen,
and
the
risky.
risk has paid off in the last. They won 8 constructors in a row.
High risk, high reward. There.
That's the name of
Hopefully.
the game. You can't. At the end of the day, you can't be too conservative, because your conservative nature will actually leave you behind, and then you have to try and play catch up. And then trying to play catch up, that's when you probably find you start making more mistakes than anything else. So I like the idea. I didn't want him to ditch it. I thought it was a good. It looks different, and that's the thing. It doesn't look like any other car on the grid.
Yes, it's different. I tweeted that. I said it's so different. If these cars are actually running in a crowded field, you can tell the Mercedes apart from every other.
If you blacked out every single car, not just for the color, you can tell which car is which.
Yes,
you can tell. Actually, some will look like some. It'd be hard to differentiate in some ways, but you can definitely tell the Mercedes different from anything else, because it's a completely different look and everything. So, like I said, they won 8 constructors titles. They won 8 double doubles, right? So they've not forgotten how to build a quick car or a championship winning car. Sure, they made mistakes last year, but these things happen. I mean, even the best in the business, Adrian Newey has made mistakes. He has not always built the best cars on the grid, and he has made, so I give them credit for that. So let's see what they can do this year. I'm fairly optimistic that they're going to be back in the fight.
I am excited about this car, honestly.
It's going to be, because I think if it's a 3-team fight, it's going to be one hell of a championship. With the exception of Perez. Perez won't be in the championship. He's a bum.
He's in the title fight from the beginning.
No, Perez not going to be in the title fight, because Red Bull are going to put on the chicken eggs and Max basket.
Have you asked him? Have you asked him? He said that last year that he's in the title.
Do we need to ask him? We don't need to ask him. We just literally know he's driving for Red Bull, and they're not going to let him beat Max. No way, no how. Not on the face of this planet. It's never going to happen. Even if Max had one hand, they wouldn't let Perez beat him. It's just not going to happen. And in truth, Max doesn't even need Red Bull's assistance in handicapping Perez to beat him. Max is just literally miles better than him.
Naturally, he's just quicker than Perez.
Miles better than Perez. It's not, I don't know why people brand Perez as world class. He's average. He's bang average. Yes.
I think when he was in, was it Force India? At some point, he was Racing Point. Yeah, he was driving well, at least for the midfield car.
Here's what Perez's claim to fame is. This fantasy that he's good on tires. But if you actually check it, what happens is he drives at such a slow pace to keep his tires, and then at the end of the stint he gets quicker, right? That's not someone who's good on tires. That just means you're driving well off the pace, so you keep your tires longer. Well, someone who's good on tires is someone who can actually keep a consistent pace throughout the whole entire stint. So, and without any major drop-offs. So if the ideal lap time is a 120, right, and you can consistently do a 121, 122, or 121 consistently, right, without any drop-off in performance. Case in point, like that. You remember the stint Max did in which race was it? Mexico.
Was it Mexico?
Where they said Max tire was going to drop off. If you look at his Max stint in that race, there was little the variations in his lap time were about
0.1, 0.2 seconds.
So
that was the gap. It was consistently
from the ideal lap time. So he was within he kept a consistent pace without very little tire drop off. That's how you say someone is good on tires. What Perez does, he drives around 3-4 seconds off the ideal pace, and then coming close to when everyone's tires are gone, and he now wants to it's coming close to his pit window. He starts to up his pace, and you're like, oh, no, he didn't. He was just driving bitch ass slow. So I don't, when Lewis left McLaren end of 2012, when he went in there with Jensen, what did he do? He wasn't impressive at all.
Yeah, he was actually burning his tire a lot.
I just think people give him maybe too much hype for my liking, to be honest. And because even as bad as people criticize Bottas was not, especially in qualifying, not on average almost half a second slower than Lewis.
No,
Perez on average is at least maybe 3 to 4 tenths slower than Max.
When it's different, they're not driving the same car. So
even if they're not driving the same car, you shouldn't be that far off. Because here, and this is why it's if the Mercedes is competitive this year along with the Ferrari, this is where Max is going to have a problem, right? Because if Perez is 3 to 4 tenths off Max in qualifying, do you know how many cars you can fit in that 3 to 4 tenths gap?
That's space, yeah.
So it's a difference. So you could find Max will be, say Max qualifies on pole. You're talking about then it's be Max, 2 Ferraris, 2 Mercedes, and Perez down the grid. So Max basically fighting on his own. You know what I mean? So you don't want that sort of separation. You want the gaps between your two teammates to be as close as possible, because then that reduces the risk of actually someone sneaking in between you. Because if you look at when Bottas was at Mercedes, right? Who normally sneaked between Lewis and Mercedes? It tended to be Max.
Max, yeah.
It was very rarely did you find someone else sneaking in between them. Because the gap between them was so small. So Max had to, we might not like him, like the dude.
Oh, the guy's
but
fast.
He's fast.
The guy's quick. He's very fast. He's quick. Yeah.
You can afford to probably beat a 10, because then if Max is in front of you, Max is probably he's gonna beat you by half a tenth. So that's how much to get into that gap. But when you have 4 tenths, 5 tenths, it takes nothing for anyone to get in between you and your teammate in that situation. And I think that's the thing with Perez. He's not, he's sporadic in his performance. Put it that way.
I think that's a better word for it. Yeah, he doesn't. The consistency is not there,
and that's the thing. If you want to win a championship, especially when you're going up against aliens, because using a MotoGP term, aliens, that's when they refer to the likes of Rossi, Lorenzo, Marquez. So when you're going up against aliens like Lewis, Max, Charles, you have to be consistent week in, week out, because these guys, they're what James Allison said about Lewis doesn't have off days, and even his off days are still better, and even his off days are still better than some people's best days. So I mean, so that's this level of consistency you're going to need if you're going to win a championship against these aliens, because these guys, they're not going to let up. They're not going to let up. They're not going to give you an inch. And even if you beat them, if you get beat them 1 week, don't expect you're going to be doing it 3, 4, 5, 6 races in a row, because they're not. These guys are built differently, and it's the argument I always make. The difference between the great and the good in Formula One, it's not massive. It's that extra 1 to 2% that the greats can consistently find. It's that level of consistency that they can maintain throughout an entire season. So even if they turn up and it wasn't their best race weekend, they're going to maximize the points that they can get. So if they can't win, okay, let me see how much I'm going to aim for second or best or third.
Go for.
Not looking Perez, if Perez has an off weekend, you probably find Perez down in 6th. How was Perez getting beat last year by a Mercedes? Come on. And I don't mean like they were beating him by fluke. They were literally beating him on pace. You look at Mexico, he got beat on pace in Mexico. Many races last year, he got beat on pure pace, which shouldn't be happening. So I'm not in the Perez hype camp. I just think, because the thing is, a lot of drivers, they look good in the midfield. But you see, when you put them in the big boys league, it's a
championship winning car. That's when they're found out.
You get found out that you're not ready for this. Yeah, he'll win the odd races here and there, but that's it. It's not. It's similar to Bottas. Bottas will win the odd races here and there, but again, to win a championship, he does not have that final step, that final bit of ammunition in his arsenal to do it. And that arsenal is consistency. You have to be consistent week in, week out, knowing, because the next guy you're challenging, it's not going to give. He's looking to do the same thing, so you can't let up.
Yeah.
And if your bad days are your bad days should be minimum 2nd or 3rd. Your bad days shouldn't be 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th. No. Because if on your bad day your rival wins and you're finishing 5th or whatever it is, you're giving him basically 12 points.
Yeah, points.
Whereby if you finish 2nd, you're giving up 7 compared to giving up a total of 12. So you have to have that level of consistency, and without that, you're not going to win championships. You're not going to win championships.
I don't think anybody believes that Perez is going to be a champion.
I don't even think Perez thinks that himself. I mean, if Perez really thinks that, Maximum is just going to go on Instagram and blast him again like, "Hey boy."
I don't think. Why would you think that? He's a Formula 1 driver.
He has to think it, and he has to say it. You'd actually question him even more if he doesn't say it. You know what I mean? If he doesn't say it, you're going to question his whole makeup. Like, you don't. So you really don't think he can win a championship? Then what's the purpose of you being here? Because even Latifi thinks he could win championships. You have to think that way. You have to think that way. I mean, what's his name? What's that? Mazepin thinks he's good enough to drive for a big team. You have to think that way. But it doesn't necessarily mean anyone's going to actually take you seriously. Yeah. Listen, that's my rant. Anyway, sorry, Anthony. I went into a rant. Go on.
No, it's cool, man. It's cool. Nice. It's cool, isn't it? Like, I'm hoping that we have a better season than we had last season, and
we're gonna have a better season. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I hope we do have a better season. I'm glad that what's his name has stepped back from his duties. Therefore, a president in it.
Idiot, man. I thought you meant Adrian Newey, because I saw someone share something in my group chat that apparently he's now going to be 50% involved in the team this year. He's kind of like scaling back because he's focusing on the Red Bull Road project. So he's probably going to be less involved, than he was. So I think he's going back to kind of like, what was it, 2020 or something like that, where he was splitting his time between projects. So
because from what I've heard from what the talkers about Lewis and George are saying, that in the simulator, the car feels better than it did last season in terms of the drivability, and I know that they've redone the suspension from the front and the back from the ground up. I was watching it on YouTube today, and they've said that they've had to redo the suspension on the car front and back, and hopefully we'll see how that does in terms of the porpoising, if that's completely gone, or
I don't think porpoising has been completely eliminated. You get some of it, but the question is how severe.
Yeah.
Because if it's something like Ferrari, because if you look at Ferrari last year, Ferrari porpoised like hell. But the problem is it was porpoising, but it was still fast.
Yeah.
It was still fast.
Yeah.
But in Mercedes' case,
And
it porpoising and it was slow. And you're like, okay, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
So so you're still gonna have elements of it. It's a question of how much can you deal with it, and even though you have it, you're still able to go as fast as you possibly can. So it doesn't affect you that badly.
And the weight saving that they've done in regards to stripping everything back to carbon, that should give them a couple of tenths in regards to performance, shouldn't it not?
Yeah, naturally, because you're dropping weight.
Yeah, because if you look at the top of it, it's only the top, I think from the engine cover down to the nose.
Yeah, the top half.
Is
the spine.
Yeah, everything else is carbon. And I'm just like, bloody hell, boy. It's like, I'm glad that they've actually the fans put it out that they wanted the black car back. And I don't know if it's because of the fans why they've gone back to the black car, because I automatically thought that we would have had another silver car.
I think it's because of the fans, because last year they said the car, I think it was in 2021, they were saying, the cars will be going back to silver. The black has run its course. I think it's probably because of the fans were kind of like, yo, what are you doing? Bring the black back. So, I guess they didn't want people like Lisa or Mona to turn up at Brackley with the Dutch pot, and the Dutch pot and the pot cover banging, like, bring, making noise at Brackley. Brackley like, yo, we want the black.
Bring back the black.
Yeah, we want the black.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because they know that when it comes to the black car, that's when Lewis Hamilton was giving me the W11 vibes. But I hope it is.
But I tweeted it today. Do you know how much pressure is on them now? Because they painted it black. Because we know what happened when they had the black cars for 2 years. They won the championship. So now you're going back to, granted they're different cars, obviously, but you're going to a scheme that you were successful with. So you don't want to go black and then you're struggling in the midfield. That's going to be like, dude, come on. We bring the black back.
I think they tried to temper that down by saying we just did that because of a weight saving mechanism. Is not for any other reason, which is I think that was.
But I did hear that they say the paint work could be up to like 6 kilos. That's a lot.
That's a lot of load.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And if you factor in that every was it? I remember Lewis saying something like for every kilo is like a 10th in performance or something like that. Mm-hmm. So if you're dropping, because by reducing weight alone, you gain performance. So if that's what it is,
that's a good thing. In regards to the whole car's literally carbon fiber. So I'm just hoping tomorrow when they do go back on track and hopefully they fix the PU if it is actually the PU that needs to be fixed. That when it goes back on track, they get some good feedback to say, okay, because I know that's not the end car going forward. I know when we get to Bahrain, there's going to be adaptations to the car going forward, because when you looked at the renders and you looked at the car, I'm just like, yeah, there's some differences in regards to the render than how they actually brought the car. But I know that they'll probably bring some more. I don't think that what we saw today is the final.
No, come on, that can't be the final. That's probably the first iteration that they're going to use for the first couple of races, because they only have 3 testing days, and then it's preparation for the race first race of the season. Yeah. So I don't think they have enough time to be doing like they did in the previous years, where they bring 2 different cars to the track for the 2 tests. So it's a matter of they're just going to have to run with this for the first couple of races, get a base to give them a baseline, and then does it correlate with what they've got in their simulation? And if it correlates, then it's okay, then let's get to work.
Yeah, well, the guys were saying that from what they were saying from the simulation that everything was better than in terms of the handle and the handling of the car, which there's no.
Yeah. You have to be careful in it.
That's
You have
what
to
he
be
was saying.
careful because I'm sure last
Yeah,
year they said the same thing. They had the same,
the same thing. Yeah.
they had the same feedback, after driving in the simulator, and then look what happened once they hit track. Sometimes, because this simulator and the track is it's probably damn near identical because their simulation tools basically, it's pretty much like you're actually in the real thing. So it's pretty near identical, but at the same time, that's a computer generated, that's an AI thing. Once you get into the
Yeah,
real world and you put it on track, where you're
different.
talking about tracks have bumps, track
Did
temperatures
you
and
rain
all
in
of it.
Silverstone
Huh?
today? Because I saw they were putting on
Yeah, they had rain
was it
tires,
rain tire?
and it
Yeah,
did the same thing last year.
last year.
God
Yeah,
almighty. Oh, God. Let's not panic. Let's not panic.
let's not
Let's not panic. Because last year,
no,
Silverstone, when it happened, it was,
it wasn't on the it was the check down. They actually realized
yeah,
that there was a
they had
problem,
the
right?
storm,
It
storm
was, yeah,
Eunice.
it
They
was,
had storm
it was.
Eunice at the time. So, and they said they knew
Oh
from the
God,
shakedown that, yeah, something wasn't right. They made a mistake
something wasn't
somewhere,
right. Yes,
you know.
yeah, somewhere. Yeah.
So,
Well, surely once they get to Silver, surely once they start testing tomorrow at Silverstone, if there's any issues at all, surely they'll be like, okay, that there's either this is not working correctly or they need to
yeah, but the
tweak.
problem is, I don't think it's going to be truly representative because the tires that they'll be using aren't actually Grand Prix tires. They're just they're
Yes,
demonstration tires. So the
dummies. Yeah,
feeling might be, you know, will be different compared to actually using the actual race tires.
They should
yeah.
have done what Ferrari did yesterday,
Well,
man. Now
it's the
Ferrari.
same sort of tires Ferrari had to use. They can't use
Okay.
the actual race tires. So
Oh
they all so
wow.
yeah, they get when you do filming days, you get tires for those specific sort of tires that it's completely different to what you use on the track.
Okay.
Because then that would be that in some ways that would be classified as a tire test, isn't it? Yeah, and you
yeah.
don't want, and that in itself is illegal. So but it's so far I'm pleasantly
Oh, so far so
so
good.
good,
Yeah.
but next week is when the work really starts, or it probably started today. But next week, I think they'll be broadcasting the testing live on Sky. So when is it? It's is it the 20th to the 23rd or the 23rd to the
It's
25th?
23rd, as it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I
Oh
think.
God,
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
hold on. 23rd is a Wednesday, Thursday. Shit, I'm in my office on Wednesday, so I can't watch it. But
Sure.
I'm home Friday. I'm working from home Friday, so I'll be able to watch it then. But
What do you guys think of the? Obviously, there's been pictures leaked about the new Red Bull that they've tried to copy, Mercedes concept in terms of the nose and certain iterations. What do you think of? You lot have seen the pictures, innit?
Is that even a real Red Bull car for
I
the
couldn't even
seats?
see that.
I
I
think so.
couldn't even make that picture out, even if you gave me the Hubble telescope, because that was
Yeah,
blurry.
I don't know
That
how
was
people saw that.
poor
Yeah.
quality picture. So
I think one guy he took a picture, but then he took some still pictures, and he actually drew
yeah, nah,
different iterations on the top,
nah,
like the
that
move.
doesn't work. That until we actually see the car for ourselves, I think it's wrong to even speculate what they've actually done with
Yeah,
it or
it's more
anything like that. Because
speculation.
again, the picture quality was pretty poor. So I wouldn't even want to go down that road. But what we do know is the Red Bull will be quick. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna be the car.
I'm actually,
It's gonna be the
I'm
car to
actually,
beat. It
I'm actually surprised that they are going to be quick, given the
Why?
fact that no, because obviously the penalty that they got in regards to the
Yeah, but it's
CF
yeah, but
limited CF.
the regulations are pretty much stable, with the exception of the change to the raising of the floor edge by 15 millimeters and some other things in the Venturi tunnel. It's pretty much stable. So they've got a stable platform that they'll start the year the quickest car and they finish with the quickest car, it's very unlikely that they're going to actually screw it up that badly where they're not the quickest again. So I don't think it's a matter of are they still going to be quick. They will be quick. It's pretty much guaranteed. It's just a matter of how quick will everyone else be. All right, in that sense, let's go around the table. Ferrari. Come on, Kingsley. You know I work about Ferrari already, so I want to hear you go first.
No, but that's okay. I know the Ferrari unveiling yesterday was actually more geared towards the picture part of the camera because they were coming out all over the track. I was just showing us what Leclerc. At some point, when Leclerc was driving that car, I was holding my breath like he's going to beat this thing because the speed at which he was doing it, and it was his first lap. I was surprised actually, but that car was really, really good. It looked planted. Was taking all the corners and the course balance. I was a bit, nervous actually because that car looks. If they can iron out the part of the engine that we're having issue with, reliability one, and then two, the way they are tired was the grading at race weekends. On a single lap, the Ferrari was very good. I mean, I think Charles had up to how many pole positions? Was it up to 8, 9, 10 or something like that?
No, that was in 2019. They had Charles had the most poles. I don't think they had that many poles this year.
Are you serious? I thought their pole was higher than they had a very good side. The pole numbers were high, but on the race day, then the car just goes away completely. But I think the Ferrari will be right there if they can fix their reliability issues and other stuff. The car looks very, very planted at the end.
I think Ferrari were cruel to their fans, truthfully, because why would you unveil the car on Valentine's Day? All lovey-dovey. Give them all hope, knowing damn well by the summer break
How can you even think of it like that? That was the only. They wanted you to come to the unveiling with your partner. That was the idea.
But then by the summer break, they're going to break up with the partner. They're going to get dumped because they're going to be rubbish. Come on, you laugh. I genuinely believe.
You should give Asai some chance to perform some miracles.
No, I don't care. Look, like I said it. They'll start the season all good. They're going to start the season quick. But the question has always been, for me, when it comes to Ferrari, again, it goes back to that earlier conversation we're having about consistency. Can they be consistent? The only thing Ferrari is consistent in doing is being Ferrari. That's it. And when I say that, I mean that they're consistent in actually just. It's pretty much guaranteed they're going to get something wrong. And once they get it wrong, it's just a cascading thing. It's a snowball effect. And it's just going to keep rolling and get bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're just going to fall off the cliff. That's how I say it. I genuinely don't believe that they can maintain a title challenge throughout the whole entire year. I just don't see it. You saw it when Seb was there.
They surprised you this year.
No, I don't. I mean, if they surprise me, then they surprise me. But I don't think they're going to surprise me. We're going to come back here, and I'm going to say to you, see, I told you.
I told you so. I think this Ferrari looks different, but if this was,
Kingsley, it's not about the look, It's not about the look. It's the team itself. The team is a dysfunctional. It's dysfunctional on every level. I just don't see it as a team that you can actually bank on. Right now, going into this season, I guarantee you, 90% of the fan base, the F1 fan base, probably are praying that Mercedes is competitive, because that's the only team they know for sure can challenge Red Bull.
That can fight, yeah.
The only team. No one believes that Ferrari, because they're gonna do something.
No. I believe the Ferrari will be very good. Because if you check what they did last year, the Charles and
what did they do last year?
At least they finished second to Red Bull.
Okay.
Yeah. So the car is an evolution of that last year's car.
How far off Red Bull did they finish?
where you can okay. I was just going through the last season's qualifying position. I think Leclerc has like 9 pole position
And how many race
himself,
wins?
and yes, last season he was
Yeah, but how many
qualifying.
races did he win?
That's the point. The car wasn't good on race days, but a single lap it was very good. So if they can
That
fix,
sounds
because
like
first of all they
that sounds
had
like the
to detune.
2013 Mercedes. Good on one lap pace, then come Sunday,
No, okay, yeah, but they
disappears.
had the excuse. The reason was they had to detune the engine because they saw they were having reliability issues. And from the information we're getting, that they fixed that for this year, and that's they can improve on it. The single lap is already good. It's the race trim that was the problem. If they can sort out the race trim, I mean, they will be thereabout
But it's
basically.
not just race trim. You still have to sort out the team.
Yeah,
You still have to
yeah.
sort out the team because the team's they're gonna make mistakes. They threw away they nearly threw away race wins last year. Case in point, Silverstone. They nearly threw away the win at Silverstone last year because
Yeah,
they were telling Sainz that he should back up Lewis
yeah.
and
Back
give
up.
and all of the look. It's like I said to you.
Talking
My
about
thing is,
strategies. Who is
my
our
thing about
strategy now?
Ferrari.
Who is our
Ferrari
strategy?
will always be Ferrari. That team is
Yeah.
just too Italian. It's just too Italian. It's not. It needs to be more diverse, not in terms of ethnicity, but in terms of nationality. It's just too Italian.
Like insular, inward kind of.
Yeah,
So there are
too
no.
many. Too yeah. It's just insular in that sense. And
Yeah.
will Fred Vasseur be the man to change
Yeah, he
that?
start bringing in people from other places.
Yeah.
I generally think that the culture there would shift briefly of towards, and if they give him the free hands to change things in the team, he will be able to probably solve
Look,
something. Talking
look.
about
If
strategies, I was asking who is Mercedes chief strategist now?
I have no idea, we know when we hear the first
Oh,
we'll know before the season starts.
okay.
It's probably I don't know. It's probably the lady that was
The
there.
lady, yeah, was
I
on
don't know.
leave at the time. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they promote her, but obviously they're gonna promote from within.
With it, yeah,
So
of course.
I'm not even worried about strategy. I want to
No, no,
drive a
no, no,
quick
no,
car
no.
because
I'm worried about. I am
if you
worried
have a
about
quick car,
strategy.
if you have
Yeah,
a
even
quick
if you have
car,
a
strategies not really that much of a problem because you can play, you can recover because you have a quick car, and I think that's what you saw when they had like from like the 14, 15, and 16. They could, no matter what strategy, even if it was a bad car, they can
they
actually
can
because
still
they have
catch
the
up
pace, they
now.
could recover.
Yeah.
So that's what I want. But you know, I don't. Going back to your whole Ferraris, I just don't. It's the same feeling I've always had about them. That they're gonna do something and they're gonna throw away a golden
They will
opportunity.
surprise you this year, then.
Why would they? Well, if they surprise me, then I'll be the first to hold up mine and say, "Well, I didn't see that coming,"
Yeah.
and which is why I said I don't my expectation is I don't have any expectations for Ferrari. So if they do
Yeah.
good, they do good. If they don't do good, well,
You
then
see,
they don't
that's
do
what I
well.
thought. Okay. Yeah. Well, I think the only hurdle they will face this year mainly would be, at least added to, would be that Mercedes will be competitive too. So that puts them in a more difficult. Otherwise, if it was this is the car they have for last year, I think they would have probably
Kingsley,
pushed Red Bull all the way.
Kingsley,
Yeah.
did you not see they almost lost second in the constructors?
Yeah, that was.
How you mean to tell me they
The
nearly lost second to that heap of junk that Mercedes had last year?
Ferrari were running through plan F and K and J, and we were asking Leclerc, "What do you think?" What? That was
Every single letter in the alphabet is a strategy
yeah,
for
it's a
Ferrari.
strategy for Ferrari.
There are
It's-
26 strategies going into every race weekend, and
uh,
it's a matter of what they do is
well, I think that was one of the
you
reasons why the leadership they had to change Benetton, because at some
but
point
is
he
Vasseur
didn't
the
seem
person
that he
for
was in
that?
control. Mm.
But is Vasseur the person? Because let's be honest, what has with the exception of being having success in the lower categories and so on, what is Vasseur's success rate in Formula One? Is he really the man to lead Ferrari back to the promised land?
Well, we shall see.
I think well, I think the only way this is the only way Ferrari is going to win a championship, if unless Mercedes pulls out.
That
No,
is
seriously. If you look at Ferrari's history, right, in Formula One, whenever there's a full Mercedes factory team on the grid, Ferrari has never won a Formula One championship.
I didn't know that history before.
Check
But
it.
that's
Remember,
more of
remember, remember,
that's more of
remember.
coincidence
Mercedes
than
won. Remember,
it's more of
remember when
coincidence.
Mercedes won the back-to-back championship? Was it 54, 53, and 54? I
Yeah.
think was it 54 was the last season the race, and they after the crash at Le Mans was it 54? Someone here will remind me. Prior to that, the team that was winning the championship wasn't Ferrari. It was Maserati, Alfa Romeo, the Lotuses, etc. Then Mercedes came in, won 2 championship, and then did right. And then from then on, it's like Ferrari just took over. Notice the last championship they won was 2008, and since Mercedes came back into Formula One in 2010, they've now it's nothing. So they've never won a championship when you've had a full
I think it's
factory
more
Mercedes team on the grid.
more of a coincidence than
Really?
Yeah,
That's some coincidence, though.
Yeah, it is.
But either way, they're gonna need something. But I'm probably just talking shit anyway. You know me. But I wish them all the best, but I don't think their best is gonna be good enough. It's still gonna be Red Bull to beat. Still going to be Red Bull. And I think, the grid needs a competitive Mercedes, because if there's not a competitive Mercedes, it's going to be a cakewalk for Red Bull again. Okay. And Max knows it. I mean, if you listen to the whole preseason, they're talking, you listen to coming out of the Red Bull camp. They don't seem to be too focusing on Ferrari. Their focus is on Mercedes. And you're like, dude, why are you focusing on the team that finished finished 200 on points behind you in the constructors? Shouldn't you be focusing on the team that came second to you, because they were your closest? They ran you somewhat.
They never took Ferrari seriously. Honestly, they were just
exactly. So no one really takes Ferrari seriously. The only people who take Ferrari seriously is Ferrari, and that's in itself is a joke.
I actually like Binotto. I guess he's a bit more reserved.
Binotto deserved to be fired.
I don't know about that.
Yes, he deserved to be fired, and here's why he
my
deserved to be
problem
fired.
with him was I think the structure of Ferrari is such that there is no principal person that takes decision. They kind of spread it across board.
No, he's the team principal.
But in name only.
Really?
You could see that in decision making. They do this stuff that look like, okay, we collectively make decisions together. There's nobody to actually hold responsible. I think that was where my only criticism for the team was, and that you could see that play out in most of the things that we are doing, because at the end of the day, there was nobody taking it.
This is what I said he should have been fired. He made a statement last year that their focus coming into the season was to be more competitive than they were in 2021. Yeah. And he then turned around and said, yes, we've achieved that. And that was it. So you're telling me, okay, you're more competitive than you were the previous year. Don't you think you can change your what your goals are in the middle and say, okay, we're more competitive, okay, that we've achieved that, let's try and win the championship. They didn't sound like they wanted to win the championship.
No, they were. I think personally, what I thought happened there was he was trying to temper the expectation. Yeah, he was trying to
down, bro.
Yeah. Oh, they scored us.
Dude, I don't want to hear nothing about no football.
We are going to.
Don't tell me nothing about Arsenal.
This is not good.
Yeah, go on, Kingsley.
Yeah, what I'm saying was that he was trying to lower the expectations for the team so that they don't put pressure on themselves necessarily. But they knew they had a car that was quick on a single lap. I think
I'll be back in a minute, lads.
I think what happened more like when they started turning up the engine, they started seeing problem with reliability, and that completely took the wind out of their sail. And from there going forward, it was easy to just
be content. So they couldn't adjust. So they couldn't adjust. They couldn't, adjust.
If you are tuning up your engine and it's blowing up in real time, there's nothing else. I don't care what error you have, it's not going to happen. It's going to just continually drop.
So who's responsible? So I mean, he's responsible for the whole entire team. So somebody has to take the blame for that.
Yeah, but I feel they should have given him one more year, like this year, to build on the success that he had last year, and then
What
from.
success did he have last year?
Did you watch Ferrari 2 or 3 years ago?
How many races did they win last year? They won what, 5 races last year?
And yeah, but
How many
qualifying
races?
position,
How many races was there last year? 22.
Chance won like
Max win 15.
yeah, Chance won
Ferrari won
3.
5.
Yeah, I think so.
Perez won. Perez won what? One or two?
One
One.
was it
And
one? Yeah,
yeah, one. Singapore, and George won the other one in
the
Brazil.
other one. Yeah.
So Ferrari won 15 races,
Mhm.
5 races.
Yeah, in that 5 races, they had pole position in 9 of those races. Pole position. That tells you the car on a single piece was good. It was good.
Yeah,
It
but
was
you
just the
see,
race trim was just
they
horrible.
say the Formula One race is not one lap. So
Yeah, that's the one that was saying they would have allowed him to work on the other part of the car this season, and then before they make a decision. So, at the end of the
I'm
day,
just
this
I'm
project
just
was
curious. Is Vasseur the
Binotto's.
man to lead them? That's the big. I think that's probably the biggest question that
But
going to be for Ferrari.
imagine
Is he the
firing,
man?
imagine firing Toto, for example, after just because this was Benotto's brainchild. This current regulation, he was the one that was more focused on building this car right from the 2020, 2021
But
season.
and exactly, and that's the problem, and that's another problem, Kingsley. They've been looking at these regulations for what best part of what they sacrifice, because was it 2019 they were cheating, they
2019,
caught,
yeah.
caught cheating, and then
Mm.
that they went fell down in 2020. So from 2020 to 2021, they've been focusing on these regulations, and
Mm.
now they've come into the season. They came in with a package that, quite frankly, I think was good enough to win the championship, but the
No,
team
no,
wasn't
no,
good
no.
enough.
The Flat package couldn't have won a championship because he didn't have the engine power to do that. Couldn't have.
But yet they had more poles than Max.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not a matter of they didn't have the engine power. It's more than that. It's not just engine power. There was fundamental issues with the car as well as within the team, because operationally they made a lot of
Yeah, they
operational
made a lot of
errors.
mistakes. Yeah, they made a lot of mistakes too. No.
They made a whole lot of errors that, again, when you're competing against a Red Bull and a Mercedes, you can't afford to make, because they're going to punish you.
That's true.
And then you have
But
Charles. As much
another
as I
thing,
like Charles,
mhm.
that dude needs all of these crashes he's having. That should have been what he did in GP2 F2.
Yeah, he is prone to making. Charles always has that one mistake in him at a
He's his
crucial
own
time.
worst
Yes,
enemy. I
yes.
remember when he crashed in that qualifying in
Baku.
Baku. I can't
Yeah,
remember what year it was, and he was,
it was.
I'm
I am
stupid, and he was,
stupid. I
and he's.
am.
Did I not come on here and I said to you, look,
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
did.
think he shouldn't have done that.
Yes,
He
but
needs,
and I
he
also
needs,
said I think it was his own way of self motivating himself. So I
no,
did
he,
actually
he
see
needs, he needs to find a different way of deal with disappointment.
responding to this. Yeah.
Berating yourself when you make when something bad happens. I don't think that really helps it. That only makes it even more, because you putting more pressure on yourself to, like, not to make these errors, and that's when you tend to make more errors.
No
The
errors. Yeah.
harder you try not to make errors is when you make more errors.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
Actually,
it
to
wasn't
tell
he
you
wasn't
how
he wasn't like,
mm,
going into it like, okay, yeah, that happened, screw that, put
yeah,
that in the back of my mind, compartmentalize it, deal with it,
and then
move
move
on,
on.
and move. He didn't doesn't seem like he had that in him.
I think that what you just said actually just encapsulated what I was feeling yesterday. Chas was doing an install run on a new car, and you know what? I was scared that he was going to bin it. That tells you how you can imagine. I was scared, like this guy's going to turn this car around and just bin it basically for a test run.
Overlap
Even in
right now,
qualifier, he shows those
overlap,
strengths. Mm.
overlap right now. Charles is the quickest thing overlap in Formula One.
He is blindingly quick. Yes,
Overlap, he's the
the guy's
quickest thing in
quick. Yeah.
Formula One right now. Right, but I don't know. I like Charles and I want him to succeed, but I just feel like the environment he's in
It's
isn't gonna bring the best out of him.
out of him. Okay.
And I think, and as much as he talks about he loves for, I don't know, because last year I said it to you. I think what's going to happen is, it's one of the things that's going to happen is either Charles gets fed up with Ferrari or Ferrari gets fed up with Charles.
I can see Charles coming to Mercedes at some point.
So it's one of the two things that's going to happen. And then where does it go? Because if Ferrari gets fed up of Charles, they're going to ditch him.
Yeah, I think it's Charles. I think it's the other way around. Charles is going to be more fed up of Ferrari than Ferrari being fed up of Charles.
Do you want to bet? You sure about that? You
Yes,
sure
I
about
think
that? I
he
mean,
would.
Ferrari got rid of Michael Schumacher. I don't see why they won't get rid of Charles.
Yeah, but who's on the horizon except maybe Mars, for example? And I don't see why, where they were going to bring him to that. I don't know. Stranger things can happen. Has
Max
happened
is going to
before.
retire from Formula One, but I think at 2025 he's going to retire.
Yeah, I don't think so. He likes racing.
No,
The guy
I think
was
he's going.
basically
You
throwing
see,
out his pram from a video
if you
game.
listen to him talk, and listen to him. He started at 17. He's gonna get burnt out.
Well, now, yeah, I think if he has a competitive car, he will want to continue. I think where it goes down completely is if he doesn't have one, and then negotiation with other teams fail, and then he can just walk away. Basically, I think that's the only thing that will happen.
Yeah,
But
I don't know. I don't see him being in Formula One at the age of 30. I think I see him probably retiring at the age of 30. I
and do what?
genuinely believe that. I don't know.
He,
He has all
he
the money in the
loves
world. Do
racing. The
whatever he
guy
wants.
loves. This guy is always in
Yeah,
sync, and
Kingsley,
he,
you have to
yeah,
remember, but you also have to remember this, and it's not so much about you love racing, but it's dealing with all the rigors, training, everything that comes with it.
yeah.
Every year you have to reinvent yourself and find new motivations to
Motivation.
come
Okay,
back.
yeah.
Because if you keep winning,
You want to continue, yeah.
not even so much. At some point you're gonna think like, yeah, I'm winning, and I'm not really feeling okay. I've won.
No,
Okay, I've won.
in as
You
much
can,
as Mas
look. You
wants to
can
tell
Kingsley. You can
everybody.
be winning and lose motivation because you're winning so much. It becomes easy to you. You kind of feel like you don't have to put in any effort.
Mm-hmm. In as much as Mas wants to tell the world that he doesn't care about the records, he does care about
Of course he
records.
does.
Yes, he cares
Once
about
Lewis has the
it.
record, I think if he's going to stay beyond that, his motivation would be to beat Lewis's record.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes, that's
Yeah.
what. If he has the car, he will want to continue. Unless he doesn't have the car to do it, then that's where he basically just hang up and then move on to.
Yeah,
So,
but I don't know. I just don't, I don't think I'm gonna see he's gonna race that long because if you even at the end of 2021 he was talking about if he had to deal with multiple seasons like that
yeah,
he probably would have
he has
got
said
burnt out.
different versions of that statement. Like he was saying, look, the way he drove with Lewis, that's not ideal to do
Exactly.
continually. Yeah, he was saying it, and which is he was speaking from a human perspective. I think that was true because that season really, really, really got to him basically.
Yeah, but
Like last year, he was
thank God
just
for Uncle Massey. I mean, last year was a godsend for him because he
the,
didn't have to work that hard
at
to win
all,
the
not
championship.
with his
I think
teammates, not
Yeah,
with
I think if he had
Ferrari.
gone, if last year was like 2021, I think you'd have probably seen, we probably could have seen
Differently, yeah.
more a different thing.
Yeah.
He, how
Not
will
just
he deal
him,
with
the
it?
entire Red Bull team as a
Yeah.
whole, too. Yes, not just him. Yeah.
But anyway, move on from Max and Ferrari. Who's the next one on the list? Okay, the Aston.
Aston, say Aston, okay, Alpine. I was thinking, okay, Aston, yeah.
Uh,
Alonso, there's this. I don't know who tweeted it. Like, Alonso finally got the car. He did like, I'm like, are you guys thinking the previous years didn't happen? I saw the reply you did where you said, as to what, like,
yeah, yeah, oh
to what
yeah,
purpose? What are you saying?
yeah.
It was funny, really.
I think
Actually,
it
so,
was Noble tweeted that has Alonso finally got the car, and I'm like, to do what?
to do
I
what
don't care.
exactly?
I put it this way. I think if you put Alonso next, if you had put Alonso next to Max in that Red Bull last year, he would have lost the championship.
Max would destroy him completely.
I don't look. It's cool. It's cool. Alonso beating up on all of these youngsters and whatnot, but Alonso will not win a championship once you have a Max, Lewis, Charles, or George on the grid, or even Carlos, or even Perez.
No,
He
he
will
would
not win a
lose.
championship.
No, he would be. Carlos is not. It's just a one-off guy too. He's not consistent. Just
But
has
the thing is, you have to commend Alonso for his for his I don't even know how to call it because
His longevity in the sport.
but I think his longevity is because people just want that nostalgia that people don't want to think they want to move on from him.
I think, they build him up in such a way that I think he's at this point he's just moving around for the money. I don't think he had anything to offer again in F1, basically.
Exactly, because he knows he's not going to win a championship.
Yeah.
If to win a championship, you have to be driving for one of the top 3 teams.
Exactly.
None of those
You are
teams are going to
not coming near there. Yes, nobody in the top.
So he's just driving for vibes then.
For vibes, yeah, that's it.
Because Aston isn't going to win a championship.
It's not.
I don't care. I don't care how much money they
wind tunnel, new modern equipment.
They're not going to win a championship. They're not going to give him a car to win a championship. And this is why I argued last year that I felt they should have, rather than signing Alonso, they should have put Drogovic again with Stroll Jr. and build because they're investing so much in the team right now. They're building the team up. Why not build with a young driver lineup?
I think if they had a different driver to Lance Stroll, they would do that. I think they genuinely believe that Lance.
I think sometimes Lance gets a bad raw deal.
Not the bad rep. No. They must just know. It's not just because if they have a different driver than Lance, they would probably look for a younger driver or someone else. But you can't just be pitching Lance Stroll and say a rookie together for a new team, starting a new project.
That's what I'm saying. You're building for the future. You're building towards the future. See, because how long can you work with? I mean, Alonso is a short-term fix to a long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
yeah.
Because Stroll Jr. is not going to get dropped, so he's going to be there for a while. So Alonso is a short-term fix.
Yeah.
So I looked at it on the point of view like because you're trying to build something and you're investing, build with a young driver lineup and you grow together. Because at some point, Alonso, you're going to have to replace Alonso.
Yeah.
So that's the perspective that I was looking at it from. Because again, he's 41 years old. Alonso is not going to beat any of the he's not going to beat any of the guys in the top 6.
It's not. It doesn't even have people. I don't care if he's a teammate to Charles, Mans, or Lewis, he can't beat any of them. He's gonna play.
So signing him is kind of like a
I think they wanted an experienced person in that position who can give them feedback.
You choose Alonso. Have you seen Alonso's record since he left Renault in 2005?
Yeah. Who else was available?
2006.
Yeah. Who else was available apart from Ricciardo? Nobody else was available. So I can see why they would want to.
Yeah, but Alonso's track record is not the greatest when it comes to building something.
Yeah,
it's not the greatest. He doesn't have the greatest track record.
Agreed.
You know, and it tends to be wherever he goes, there's animosity, and I guarantee you, him and Stroll Senior,
they are not going to
knock heads.
They are going to
knock heads, and that man looks like he'll eat his own child. He'll eat your child.
Even Stroll Junior, they are going to have issues too. He's not a very good teammate to anyone. Alonso, he has a way of rubbing off a lot of his teammates the other way, basically.
It's not just his teammates he rubs off. He rubs off the whole entire team badly.
Team, exactly. The entire team. I was being generous, yeah. Entire team, yeah.
Is he a good driver? Of course he is. But the problem with Alonso is he's just
I think he doesn't know how to do well in a group kind of thing. He feels that he has to be the center of attention. If he's not getting it, then he wants to burn the whole place down. Basically,
it has to be him. If he's not the sort, because his thing has always been the team. I should be the main focus.
Yeah.
I should be the number. Focus on me if you want results. And you're like, that was the Renault sort of philosophy.
Yeah, it was the same.
That was the Renault sort of philosophy. That's not gonna. You're not that guy anymore.
It was the same thing. They basically said I think when he first came to McLaren, he told Ron Dennis at the time that he shouldn't sign Lewis, and then since they decided to sign Lewis, that they should be prepared to lose the constructor. That was what he said. Prepared to lose constructor.
And he said, "What? He brought half a second to the car." And I'm like,
Yes,
"Whoa, okay, dude, that's big
yeah,
talk."
yeah.
But that's Alonso. Alonso will always, you know what I mean? He is who he is. But he's not gonna wait. I don't think he's gonna help Aston propel up the grid. I just don't see it, because everywhere he has been since he left Ferrari at the end of 20, when he got fired from Ferrari at the end of 2014, basically everywhere he's been, it's been a cascading downfall. They've not, McLaren lost the Honda backing because of Alonso. He's the reason why they lost the Honda backing. So, I mean, I wish him and Aston the best, but
I personally, I think they should have. He was the only thing available to them after Vettel was leaving, so they didn't really have any choice. The other option was to go for a younger driver, a rookie, which in this current dispensation, I think they really wanted to do, especially when you're building a new project and you need feedbacks to improve your car and whatnot. So I can see why they chose Alonso, and it's like you said, it's a short-term fix for a long-term plan. I can't see him going beyond this contract, basically. But then they will.
No, I think once his contract is done, it's done.
Yeah, it's done.
You'd be a fool to re-sign a 43-year-old Alonso. You'd be a fool to re-sign.
I don't think he wants to go beyond. I don't think. I think at this point in time, he just wants to be in a car that can move in the midfield and on an odd day probably get to the podium. That's what I think he's just planning to do. I don't think he's actually interested in winning. I don't think he thinks he has the capacity.
If he's not, then why he should have just left and go back into WEC.
Yeah, but they're paying him a lot of money to do that. So I mean, he can turn up on the weekend, earn a lot of money, and then go home and sleep. It's basically.
Yeah, but he can earn a lot of money driving in WEC.
Yes,
Vims.
We
scored. I was looking for Vims the other day. Welcome back, Vims. I was wondering where she was. I thought they kicked her off Twitter.
Who?
Vims.
Okay, Vims.
Yeah, Vims back in the house.
I can see.
I thought they kicked her off Twitter.
No.
Yeah. All right, move on from Alonso. Okay.
Yeah.
Who else are we gonna go with? I'm gonna go with the AlphaTauri, Tsunoda, and De Vries. What do you think's gonna happen there? I think De Vries is gonna spank him.
De Vries is going to spank Tsunoda. Tsunoda is trying too hard to perform, and then he's making mistakes. Yeah, so I think he's trying to justify why he should be in that team, and with that, a lot of mistakes are coming in at the end of the day, and the media doesn't help. If you hear Tsunoda say something in the media, they amplify it tenfold, and you make it look as if he's the villain of the whole thing.
I genuinely think this is probably his last season in Formula One.
Seriously,
because I think they would have ditched him a long time ago had it not.
For Honda, Honda.
Had that Honda relationship not existed, because this is what his third season. This is going to be his third season.
Yes, third season. Yeah.
And in the 2 seasons he's raced so far, name me a memorable performance from him.
None. You can't even pick any.
But you can remember all the crashes, though.
Oh, absolutely.
And the runs
and the radio. Person on his team.
I have a problem with him going off on the radio, because that's human emotions. It's a high pressure environment he's operating in, and if things aren't good, he's free to express himself.
I have problem with it, because if a Max Verstappen is ranting on his radio, you can understand that he has earned the right to do that. Not. There's a level you can actually, run. Some of the things he says to his engineer, or you don't see. I mean, you don't do that as a rookie. As a young driver, you should learn. Okay, to be.
Nah, Kingsley. I mean, hold on. Let me switch my headphones. Yeah,
I don't actually hold it against him per se, but I think he would be better served if he's a little bit more calm, collected, and
maybe. But I don't know. I think because at the end of the day, this is a performance-based sport, and if you're not performing, you're vulnerable to get replaced, and he's
And
not
that's
been
what I'm saying.
performing.
It's putting a lot of pressure on himself, because if you hear him talk on the radio, that's a reflection of how he's feeling. It's coming from a place of his own emotion, which means he's actually putting too much pressure on himself, and that's where he's getting all the mistakes and crashes from at the end of the day.
I don't know. I think the thing is, if he lets DeFreeze, which I think DeFreeze will do,
Freeze has a lot of
spank him.
experience with.
Exactly.
I
If
think. I
DeFreeze
think.
spanks him,
Mhm.
I think they're gonna
That's
see this genuinely. Um, he's gonna probably get replaced because they have that. What's that kid in Yoda? What's his name? Ajar or something like that. I can't remember the guy they're moving up into F2. I think he raced in F3 and he's going up to F2. They've got some young talents in the pipeline that could
okay.
possibly replace him. And
Yes,
again, Yuki has to come out. I like him, but at the end of the day, like shouldn't keep you in your seat if you're not
yeah,
performing.
no
And
performance.
he has not been performing to to the to the to the expected level.
Yeah, the ability of the
He's
car. Yeah, he's not
it's
doing
not
to
even
the.
just the ability of the car. It's just that he's not been doing it. He hasn't. I mean, you can count the handful of
Racist where
races that you can say, yeah, Yuki really showed us something here.
Gasly what to do, but Gasly too wasn't that he was also
But Gasly won a race.
he was a better. That's true.
Gasly won a race, so and they probably should have kept. But you can see why Gasly left, because again, he's going to a factory team.
The factory team,
And
yeah.
if you're gonna leave a team, it's best to leave to go to a factory team.
And it's
Or
your
how
home.
many
It's also your
and
home team too, basically. So.
yeah, and how many factory seats are out there? What,
I read there are not
eight?
many. Yeah.
There are only 8 factory seats out there. So it was a good move for Gasly, but
Oh yeah, you're right. I was actually thinking
Sonoda.
they would go for what's his name, the guy in a pain.
Who?
I said guy in a pain. I was thinking that they would actually go for Ricardo again to come back at some point, but I was surprised that they have to pick.
That dude's an idiot, man. Man went from race winner to now being court gesture for
No,
Red Bull.
Ricardo would
Absolute
have done
joke.
himself a favor by just leaving the sport, take a sabbatical for 1
That's
year.
embarrassing, dude.
Yeah, you
Going
are
back
you are a
to be
reserve driver to Perez. Perez of all people. Perez.
it's not even
What?
just a parents of all people. It's the fact that you've gone back as a reserve driver. That's embarrassing.
No. It was.
That's embarrassing.
I think
You
it means
left
that he
them.
didn't actually have any other options. That's what I can read from that. Because if he had any other option, I don't care if it was a Haas or a Williams, I think he would have gone there. But because what is a reserve seat going to do you at Red Bull? I don't know. They've already told him, they are telling him, Baby Joy told him he will replace Perez at some point, which I don't think. But otherwise, I don't know why you would
But
have.
it's I don't know. Ricciardo was an idiot. Ricciardo basically pimped two teams of 100 million in the last 4 years.
Yeah,
So
that
I
really.
mean, that's how bad he was last year. They actually paid him to leave.
Yes,
They paid him to leave.
the pain to leave was not the least of the humiliation. It was the manner in which they approached the new guy, and just they were telling him. I mean, Ricardo was coming out on the race weekend to say there's nothing that he's in McLaren, whatnot, blah 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 blah. And then we're hearing that look, he's not. Piastri is taking that. Those guys taking that seat, and every
But you
other
knew
weekend
he,
they put
but
the
you knew,
microphone in his face. It was crazy.
but
It
you
was
knew Ricciardo, but
I was
you
paying
knew
for
he
him.
was out of Formula One when he posted that tweet when the rumors started circling, and he posted that thing on Instagram to try and
Diffuse
you
it.
know
Yeah.
diffuse the situation. That's when you knew, yep, he's definitely
They're
gone.
actually
He's definitely gone.
good.
But anyway, all
I
right.
was one of the. For me, I didn't like the way McLaren actually treated him, but I can understand why they wanted to get rid of him. The
How
guy
did they
was
treat him?
just no. I know you don't. I mean, even if you are going to remove Ricardo, there are ways you can look at what happened to um what was it Bottas when Bottas was leaving Mercedes. They had to at least make sure they find somewhere where he was, help him find a place he was going. They did everything the right way, and that's it. I know. Ricciardo was horrible with the first 2 seasons. I mean, um, uh, what's his name? His teammate was beating him black and blue. Even on weekends where he wasn't even doing good,
Dude,
Ricciardo
there was
doesn't even.
weekends he was 1 second off
He hasn't even half.
Lando in
Yeah, he
qualifying.
wasn't even. I mean, he would go out of Q1, and his teammate would go into Q3, and it's the same car for crying out loud. I think he was just he. At some point, I didn't know what was happening to him. I don't know if it's the nature of the car that it was designed towards Norris as opposed to him. I don't know, but he was busy. He was losing it everywhere. I don't know.
Well, he's out. Now he can go about it. No, his job is just to go around the world and do donuts in the show car, because
No,
that's all he's going to be doing.
I think in 1 or 2 races he's going to drive for. Imagine, okay, so what
No, they're
happened
not
now?
gonna. He's
Because
not. No, then there's
he,
no way they're gonna give him any practice sessions. Are you mad? He's not gonna get any practice sessions. Why?
okay, yeah, that's what I
Well,
wanted to ask. Because he's not actually a rookie. Because the new regulation is that you must give one of your reserve driver what you do. So he's not. He's a reserve driver, but he's not a rookie. How do you square that? Is it going to say, okay, one of those practices Ricciardo has to drive?
oh God, look at that. That's what you've come back to.
Yeah, full cycle. We've come full cycle. It's
That's
crazy.
embarrassing, man.
It's
I mean,
embarrassing.
but anyway, he's gone. Who's so we've done Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferrari, Aston.
Aston,
We've done what's
Alpine in a way.
Taurus, AlphaTauri.
AlphaTauri,
I,
Bottas.
I'm gonna call him Taurus. I don't like the AlphaTauri name. Who are we gonna do now?
Is
McLaren. Yeah.
oh,
Hey, Baxter, come in. We're gonna do. What do you think about McLaren now? Because I think going into this season, oh God, they haven't even started. Did you hear what they said at their unveiling?
yeah, this is not about the car not being where they wanted to be, and not they're already setting the
Jesus.
expectations so low, and it was embarrassing, honestly.
Yo, you've not
Just not
even
even fire the engine. You're already telling us
you've already
this is
said basically the car is not what you anticipate. Like, oh my God.
what are you
So
doing all winter?
basically, this
Yeah,
is it's that's not a good that's not good luck. That doesn't instill confidence in
confidence. Yeah,
anybody. And I think Zach Brown is running that team like a NASCAR team.
yes, it's running like those American, one of the American team. He's not. I don't know if it's him the way he's running it as opposed to that is the depth of the expertise that they have. For a team like McLaren that has the resources to build a championship winning car, you expect more from them. They can't be in the same league as Aston Martin. Granted, they share the same Mercedes engine. You expect McLaren to be closer to Mercedes works team than any other team. So it's crazy. I don't know. Something is wrong in the whole arrangement, the way they design their car from their R&Ds and everything. Something is fundamentally wrong. But I don't know. Maybe he's bringing in all the money to the sponsors and the
yeah,
owner.
but you're bringing in. It's one thing to bring in sponsorship money, but sponsors want to see results. I mean, at some point, the sponsors going to be like, "Yo, where's our ROI? We not, where's our return on investment?"
And they're not winning. They're not even going to
Once
win with
because
Lando, for example. Lando,
because if you're not getting enough TV time, your sponsors aren't getting value for money.
exactly. That's true. Yes,
So
and you have to be consistently running at the top or being on the podium to get those exposure at the end of the day.
okay.
But with the driver's arrangement they have, where do you see Piastri performance this year? What's your see? I
Baxter, I
don't.
come to you in a second. You see, Piastri has a big problem. And here's Piastri's problem.
Because
The
they
way
can't.
he left, the way he
Yes.
left Alpine, it was an acrimonious split.
Yeah.
And he has to prove.
He
He
was
has a
worth
lot
it.
to prove.
Yeah.
That
He was.
McLaren did make the right decision in being in Ricciardo, which that wasn't a difficult
That was
decision
not.
to
That
make.
was an easy. That was a
But
low hanging fruit.
to
It was
bring him
easy to
in
do that. Yeah.
is it, as a rookie, you could call that, because he sat out 1 year.
Yeah, he's still a rookie. He's a rookie
So
driver in F1.
basically, I mean, he's the second rookie that's signed to McLaren since Lewis Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
So he has a lot to prove, and Lando ain't no joke.
No, he's
again,
not. Yeah.
and so he's gonna have to go in and kind of pull up some trees and like, show that, I'm the real deal. I'm not no joke. I am the real deal because
He actually that's a lot of pressure is going to be on him
but
because
it's,
you have to perform now. If you were worthy of that criminal's exit and fight between McLaren and us, then you have to prove that you are really what. In a way, first that means you have to beat your teammates first, not just performing. You will be beating your teammate, and I don't see how, unless Lando just decide to go to sleep, I don't see how he's going to beat Lando Norris in his
he's
first.
a rookie. He's a rookie. So, but the thing is, I think if he can do at least 10 to 15% better than what Ricciardo did last year, then
Anybody
it's
can
good.
do
It's
10 to 15% better than Ricciardo. Ricciardo was just completely off. At some point, I just felt his mind was no longer in F1. He wasn't even. There was a day. There was a race. I can't remember what race he was doing, and then he was close to the last position. They asked him to retire the car, and he just said, "Okay, we tried today." Like it was so.
like he didn't care.
He didn't care. Yes, he couldn't care. He just wanted to go and have a shower and go to somewhere else. I'd rather be somewhere else than inside this car. That was the vibe I was getting from him at some point. It just
All right, now hold on, Kingsley. I got Backstay. What's up, Backstay?
Hey,
I
Dan,
was I was watching your stream last night about AD21, man. I had to come off because I can't deal with that right now. That still gives me PTSD.
mate, it wasn't much fun watching it, to
I
be
don't
fair.
know how you sat down and watched that thing again without throwing something through the
yeah,
window,
your
man.
TV. Yeah.
You're a brave man. I couldn't do that.
It was only 8 minutes of the highlights, and it was
Dude,
literally the
that's
lap
8 minutes.
I
one
have
incident.
never
1 minute,
seen
10 seconds
AD21
is too
ever
long.
since that evening it happened. I've never seen it again.
Yeah,
10
you
seconds
literally
is
just
too long.
you see the lap one incident, and then the Checo fight, and then Latifi crash, and just obviously all snowballed out of control from there. So,
Yeah, I couldn't. I
um,
couldn't stay on, man. Yeah, go
nah,
on.
that's fair enough, man. Thanks for watching, anyway.
Yeah. Go on. You have the
Yeah,
floor.
so yeah, McLaren. I think McLaren are an interesting one because I mean they were pretty much already saying there's problems with the car.
Yep.
In not so
Yeah,
many words, yes.
yeah, they were saying we're basically having to wait until Baku to get a decent upgrade to the car, which is never a good sign.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of the driver lineup, I think it's really interesting. Obviously, Lando has been with the McLaren his whole career. He proved that he's that he can
Better than
compete
Ricciardo.
at a decent level. And Piastri is probably the most exciting rookie to come in since George, with his junior pedigree. I think
Mm-hmm.
if he's even close to Lando, then I think that's going to speak volumes for him. Because of the way that Lando pretty much single-handedly kept McLaren in the fourth place fight last year.
Yeah.
I think Oscar's a step up on Danny Rick,
Oh
definitely.
yes. Anybody.
Oh God.
As much as I love Danny
Damn.
Rick,
You guys doing him well. Anyway, I do him worse. So, so carry on.
yeah, as much as I love Danny Rick, like him and McLaren didn't work. And sometimes it's okay to admit that this dream pairing that we all had in our head didn't work. And it was. I think Norris and Piastri are going to be good. Whether it's going to be good enough to get them closer to Alpine, I don't know. You just got to hope that Gasly's car has the Alonso syndrome of blowing up every 2 races. So yeah,
But it just shows you the fall from grace that from McLaren has had. That we're talking about. Hopefully they're
Yeah, better
close
than
to
a pin.
Alpine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alpine. That's
Okay.
where they are now. They're a genuine midfield team now. And
yeah.
once
I
you
mean,
get
compared
stuck
to
in the
where they
midfield,
were when
it's a
Alonso
hard
was
place to
there,
come off.
obviously it's an improvement. But yeah, at the end of the last generation, they were pushing. Yeah, they were pushing third place, fighting with Ferrari, and obviously Ferrari made the huge step forward, and they didn't. But I don't know. The thing with McLaren is when Ron Dennis was in charge, it always used to be the case of when Ron's focusing on F1, they win. When he's focusing on road cars, they don't. And if maybe Zach Brown is spreading them too thin by racing in all these series,
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see because it's Extreme E, Formula E, Indy, and Formula One. That's a lot of series to be racing in.
At the
That's
same
a lot of
time.
investment across
Yeah.
4 series. So I think maybe they do need to pare down, and obviously they want to try and hold on to Lando because he's been linked with Mercedes, he's been linked with Red Bull, he's been linked with Audi. If they lose him, I
Lando
don't know.
snookered himself.
That contract was too long. The contract
Kingsley, have I not been? You know what? Sometimes I seems like I traveled into different multiverse, and because did I not say a while back that him being so hasty in signing that contract extension was a bad move? He should have sat down and waited to see what Lewis was going to do before he signed an extension with McLaren. Because had Lewis just said, you know what, 2023 would have been my final year in Formula One, Lando would have been prime
position
to get that Mercedes seat, position to get that seat. Now that he signed that extension, if Lewis only signs for another year, right, and he goes at the end of 2024, if Mercedes wants Lando, they're gonna have to buy him out of his contract, and that's way too expensive. They're not gonna do that.
They won't.
They're not gonna do that. So Lando, in some way, snookered himself in sticking, because what was it? He's contracted up until when? 2025?
Yeah, 2025.
Basically to the end of this regulation.
That's a joke. That's an absolute joke, especially when you have Lewis on the grid, who's basically soon will be retiring soon.
Yeah, but I think personally, I think even if Lewis was leaving, I think the Mercedes they already had George, so they have a potential world champion in the future. They would rather bring him, say, maybe upgrade someone like Mick Schumacher right now to understudy him than bringing another British.
I don't know.
Mercedes won't pay.
They won't.
Mercedes won't pair Mick Schumacher and George.
No, they won't.
I think because George is Mick isn't better than Lando. I don't think Mick is any better than Lando.
So no, they're not even on the same level. What? There's no comparison.
No, I'm not saying now. I'm not saying now. In the future, why bring him as a reserve driver if you're not going to? I think they want a German driver in that second seat. They already had George. George is a potential world champion in the future.
Yeah, but they already had but Kingsley, they already did the full German lineup before.
That was.
So I don't. Why do they need to have a full German lineup?
They don't.
For what?
For nothing.
No, they don't.
They don't. We already know that. The thing is, and the problem with this is that you have a guy like George. I think everyone here knows that is a world championship caliber driver. If you want to bring in Mick as a second driver to fulfill like a Valtteri Bottas to a Lewis Hamilton role, I mean, we can have that fine. But when you look at a Lando Norris, who is going to be free in 2 years, who I arguably think, apart from Hamilton and Verstappen, is the best driver on the grid. I think he's up with Leclerc. I think he is.
Controversial.
I think there's potential there.
Wait, that's your opinion, actually.
I know. I think if you were to put Leclerc and Norris in equal cars right now, I think it would be unbelievably close. But and I see a lot of people who say that Norris is not even close to Leclerc's level. That's bullshit. I think they're very close. I think people almost underrate him. So if you were to put Lando and George on the same team, it would be interesting. But I wouldn't also be mad if Mercedes goes, yeah, we'll put Mick in that second. I wouldn't be mad. But the one thing about Norris, though, and I do agree. I think that contract is a little bit too long if we go back on that. He is one of 4 drivers that have 100% security on their seat, and teams are willing to build the drivers. We all know who the other 3 are. I don't need to say that. We know. And so...
But you say, Nick, this is the thing that annoyed me when he signed that contract. Lando's seat was guaranteed in McLaren.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't need to run and sign that contract because they weren't going to replace him. Who were they going to replace him with?
No one. Exactly.
There was no one threatening his seat. His seat was secure. So he could have held off because I think his contract was going to expire. Is it this year? I think this year would have been the last year on the contract.
Previous contract.
But the thing is how long do you think Hamilton's going to stay in the sport? I think he's got 5 or 6 more years in him.
Nah, Lewis.
Oh,
Lewis.
no.
I think
Lewis
he's
is
going to do
last
it
contract.
Alonso and Raikkonen. I've heard you've heard the
Nah,
interviews before. He says he wants to race into his 40s. I think he will. I don't think.
No, he has actually said he doesn't want to race into his 40s. He has said
38.
it.
He's 38 now, right? He's 38.
Yeah, he's 38.
So he only his next contract is going to be another 2-year contract, and that's his final contract. So Lewis, he's going to be racing until the end of 40, until he's what, 41.
So yeah,
and then
I think
he's done.
Okay, that's fair. I can live with that. It's just I remember him talking about when he was like 36 when Raikkonen won the United States, how he's like, how old was Raikkonen when he won that race? He was like 40, 41 or something. And or was he like 30? I don't remember how old he was, but he was quite old at that time.
Alonso's older than Raikkonen.
Yeah, he was 37 or 30 something.
He was old.
Yeah, Alonso's older than Raikkonen.
And I recall Hamilton saying like, "Oh, like Raikkonen winning this race gives me a lot of confidence for me to go into my 40s," and that's why I think he might still do it. But this,
I don't see him doing that. I think this is his last contract, and then he's going because he has too much other things. If you notice, a lot of these drivers who stay around for that long, they have nothing outside of the sport.
Yep,
true.
They do.
Yeah.
So they have to stay around because they've not set themselves up for life after Formula One.
Yeah.
Lewis has set himself up for
he's
life
good,
after
bro.
Formula One. So he doesn't need to be dragging his career on. So once he does this contract, he has his philanthropy stuff to do, and all of these things. So he's set outside of the sport. So when you see people like the Jensen Buttons and all of them coming back into commentary, it's because they have nothing outside.
That have nothing else.
And so here's my question actually for everyone here. Do you think this is like, if he doesn't do well this year, it's like, yeah, no, that's it? Or do you think if he fights, he wins another championship, that might extend his career by maybe another year or two after the 2 years that we suggested? Because I think this is now or never for him. I honestly do think.
What I think is, in as much as Lewis wants to place down Abu Dhabi 2021, I think he wants to win that 8th title, and then just that is natural. That's what he wants to do. And then if he thinks this car can do it for him, he will give it his all. And if the car is quick enough, I am pretty confident that he will be able to do it. Basically, that's just my.
Of course. Apart from Verstappen, he's the best.
Even if he doesn't win it this year, I think
he still has it.
Even if he doesn't win it this year, I think he's given himself that extra contract to try and get it done. So but I genuinely believe that this will be his last contract, and then that's it for him. He's done.
That's fair.
Because he has to call it. And I don't want to see him. What's it? There's a saying about he will stick around so long until they become so. I can't remember the whole.
You either die a hero or see yourself long, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Is that what you're trying? Yeah, that.
But he's not going to be.
He's not going to be a villain.
No.
He's going to see himself just
I don't want him
dragging. It's like boxers who fell off and they're still going around fighting, getting knocked out, but they still carry on fighting even though they're getting knocked out every single fight they go into. Like, dude, call it a day. And I don't see him doing an Alonso where he's just jumping from team to team to team to team. No, he's done.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think Alonso just has the talent. I think he's just an unbelievably impossible person to work with.
Alonso's not going to win a championship.
I know he's not.
Alonso's not going to win a championship. He's done. I think, and I don't. The thing is, until he realizes that himself,
I think he knows. I don't think he doesn't know. I think he knows. He's just running around because of the contract. I don't think he knows he's not in a car that can win a championship anymore. And even if he's
never going to be in a car that can win.
Yeah, if he was in say Red Bull right now, he's not going to beat Max. That's a given.
No.
If he's in Ferrari, he's not going to beat Charles. That's a given. So I don't think he has a team that he can go to right now and then win a championship. He loves driving because, like you said, he doesn't have any other thing outside of F1, so he wants to stick around and be doing that. That's the only thing, the motivation I think he has.
None of the big teams going to employ him anyway. The guys
is toxic work environment for everyone.
Okay, hold on, Nick and Kingsley. Vims and then Diplo. What's up, Vims? Where you been? Funny enough, Vims, it was yesterday. I was looking and I'm like, I haven't seen Vims around this place in a while. Let me see if she's still around. And I saw you were active. Welcome. What's up? Oh gosh, she's back to that whole thing again. Vims.
You gone? We dragged them
She's
out.
muted.
No, she's there.
She's muted.
She's there, but she's not
hello?
big.
There we go.
Yeah, this is what she
I
does.
was watching Arsenal, that's why.
This is what she does.
I'm
Holds her
watching
hand up, and when you say
Arsenal.
your
It's
turn, Vims,
interesting.
it's silence.
I was saying that I would like Oscar Piastri to beat Lando. I think
Why?
it'll make him like Lando a better like person. Maybe maybe he will realize there are other people that can beat him. Because right now I feel like he's too cocky.
That's what
He
we
needs
do.
some
Ricardo is
humbling.
very
Cocky.
bad.
I don't think.
But hold on, have you not seen a change in Lando in the last
He's
couple of
just-
years?
Huh?
Have you not seen a change in him in the last?
He has
compared to
changed, but like I feel
2021?
like he's still like childish though. Because
Childish.
like right now, if like he was if he was to like go into Red Bull right now, like Max would play like his like my well, I don't think Max is a mind game person, but I think Lando would overthink everything and not perform as well as he could. Maybe I'll like him more if he's like serious.
But I think Lando has changed, because I remember a couple of years ago I said one of the things is Lando needs to take his job seriously. He thinks this is a joke, because everything to him seemed to be a joke. He was always, joking, play, and I'm like, dude, time you get serious. And I think in 2021 I think he got a wake up call, and you've seen a much better. He's become a much better driver in the last 2 years, and I think he's kind of like I said, he's woken up and like, okay, let's start
You're
taking this
comparing him
seriously.
to Ricciardo.
But doesn't matter. It's not just about Ricciardo, but the thing is, you've seen races where you look at him and you're like, like for instance, Austria, was it? Oh God, which race was it where Lewis couldn't get past him? Was it 2021? 2021 Austria. And when Lewis finally did get past him, he said like, "Yo, he's a really good driver," and so on. You can see this. Something's changed with him, and he's much more focused than he was in his earlier years in the sport. I think that's testament to him, and we kind of have to give him credit for that. And I think had he not done that, he probably wouldn't have beaten Ricciardo the way he did.
Oh no, not at all. I'd 100% agree. I think he's by far proven, despite not having the machinery, that he is up there and he is a championship-winning driver. I'm gonna shut up now
because did they not say, because he actually turned down a Red Bull offer?
I know he did. He did. Ooh, that's actually. We'll talk about that.
He turned down the Red Bull offer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of drivers turn down the Red Bull offers because they realize that they're going into Max's home and they don't feel like they're going to get a fair enough.
They're just going to be the second driver. Yeah.
Perez was happy to take the seat because again, he was going to be he was out of a drive.
He was going to be out of job. I don't think he would have driven for any other team. Basically, where would he have gone? Yeah.
No one wanted him. He wasn't signed by anybody. So,
I'm not
the Red Bull vacancy came up.
I'm not the host, but Diplo's had his hand up for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm going to Diplo now. What's up, Diplo?
Well, I mean, I'm just gonna shit on Lando Norris a bit, so I don't know if you're gonna call attention to me.
Oh,
no, look,
God. That's what we do here. Go on, man.
I got
all
this.
jokes aside.
No, hold on.
All jokes aside, 2023 is gonna be a real litmus test for Lando, because it's going to show whether he actually is a good driver and was over driving that McLaren, or if he's just a McLaren system merchant. Because you have a guy, Oscar, I think they both have their own pressure of equal value but different circumstance. Oscar had a pretty tumultuous offseason with the way he handled, or he was involved in the whole Alpine McLaren, who's he driving for, all that drama. So I think he has a lot of pressure coming in to prove that he was worth all of this strife. And Lando, he's going to get a driver teammate, right? That he has Piastri, one rookie F3 and F2, sort of the same pedigree if you're looking at junior as Charles and George, right? From the recent young drivers. So he's going to have that kind of caliber driver next to him. And that's not going to be Daniel Ricciardo, who, whether he struggled with the car, whether he agreed with it or not, or it agreed with him or not, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for Lando too, because now he's going to have a young talent that has the momentum going into F1, and he could easily get caught off guard and blindsided, right? Because modern F1, I think Thanos, you refer to the timing of the contracts and everything. Modern F1 is, with the budget cap, with the way things are progressing, it's all about timing, and either you're in the right place at the right time or you're not, no matter how good your potential is. And so, Lando might have missed that bus, and it's really up to him to prove in 2023 that he is that true number one at that team. Because if Oscar comes in there and overperforms, and even, I would argue it's a loss for Lando, even if he is within a race win's worth of points with Oscar, in my opinion.
That I agree.
Because he knows that car better.
Yeah, listen, he should be miles ahead of.
He should be miles ahead of him. Y'all rate Oscar Piastri that high? I understand he swept juniors. One in F3, he barely beat fucking wait, I'm looking it up right now. He killed F2 2 years ago. That's because, I'm sorry, if you can't beat Robert Schwartzman, Zhou Guanyu, then take them. I don't really know what else to say. But I'm looking up F3. He barely beat Teo Pourchaire and Logan Sargent. Well, obviously, I think Teo Pourchaire is the future of F1. I 100% think that. But like, do people really value Logan Sargent that much? Like, let's be honest.
No.
Beat him by 4 points in equal machinery, quote unquote. But that's whatever thing. And I just don't think, like, this isn't, like, do we think this is a Charles Leclerc level talent?
But is that a real barometer to judge it by? Because
no,
do that then.
I think you're overrating him because
I'm not. Look,
you are because you're.
Hold on. Let me. If you look at my timeline, I was shitting on Oscar Piastri for the way he handled that entire offseason of how he ended up at McLaren, and I was one of the few that said, I think there's going to be a lot more pressure on him because of the moves that he made. So he's going into it with equal pressure. But if he can drive, like, why would McLaren do what they did? If I'm Lando, just think about it from a employer workplace environment scenario. You're Lando Norris. You're the star employee of that team. You're the face of the company as far as the F1 team goes. And then your team, your employer, is willing to do all of these juggling acts to get this other young kid in there. There has to be something that they see, at least in him, that I would say might unnerve Lando in the sense. I don't overrate him, Piastri. I really don't care what he does because I'm not his fan. Not in a bad way or a good way. He's not my driver. But my point is, I don't think McLaren would have gone through all the world of hurt to buy out a pre-existing contract and basically overpay for Piastri if they didn't see some sort of potential in Piastri, right? So you have to think about it from not just that standpoint of like,
McLaren signed Alonso the second time. I don't know.
But listen,
I don't think I don't.
Whether it's a good move or not, it's irrelevant. At the end of the day, they literally paid $20 million. I don't think they wanted Ricciardo out that bad. I think they just wanted someone with more potential in.
I think they wanted Ricciardo out that bad.
I think they wanted him out that bad. I'm pretty
sure.
They
didn't have anybody lined up. They just wanted him out. And then when Piastri was an option for them, they quickly find a way to get rid of Ricciardo. That was just
exactly. I think that was it. I think I will agree. Like, McLaren went like head over heels to get him, but I think it was more the fact of we want Ricciardo out more than out of this car more than oh my God, we have found the next Lewis Hamilton. Like, no, I don't think that was the situation.
Absolutely.
I do agree with. I think that that's fair enough. I was just checking on you because I thought what you were saying is I think Oscar Piastri is so good he can challenge Lando. No, he's not. He's not.
No. So what I'm saying is I don't know his skill yet, and I don't think. Junior results and pedigree only kind of serves to serve as this is what we could expect from XYZ driver, right? George Russell, he's doing pretty well. Charles is doing pretty well. And they both sort of had that sort of same pedigree as Oscar. Now you can compare the competitiveness of the grids. I think it's just more to build the expectations. We don't know how Piastri will do because we don't know how he'll fare in an F1 car of this caliber yet. However, from a pressure standpoint, I do think that it will be a harder teammate for Lando to really, prove his worth against than a Ricciardo, so to speak. And I think that that's why they both have their own equal pressures right now, is because Lando has to go out there and clearly outperform Piastri, and Piastri has to go out there and justify his value and why he was worth all the headache.
100%. I 100% agree with that, because if Norris does not smoke him, everyone's going to hear it. Everyone will hear it. We'll give it to Lando. But I think Lando...
he's not going to get any top team drive either, if that's the case.
No, I think Piastri just have to do a little bit better than what Ricciardo did, and he'll be fine. I don't think anybody is expecting him to come into that team and then just beat Lando straight away. I think if he does a little better, it's closer to him, he gets out of Q1, Q2, gets to Q3, and that's pretty much okay for the first season. And then I think that's going to tell us how horrible Ricciardo was in the previous season. Basically, that's
it's definitely going to be a building year for McLaren, I think, in my opinion. I don't think
they said that themselves. Yeah.
Diplo, how many years is McLaren going to be in a building year?
I don't know, bro. Look, hey, people keep buying stickers on the side of their car, so I don't think they give a shit right now.
Yeah, because Zach Brown's is a what do you call it? Is a good car salesman. Used car salesman.
He's a good marketer, but
so can you make a good
because
car,
their car. I looked at the car that they unveiled, and it just looks busy, really busy, like stickers every single where, just like all over, like a NASCAR sort of thing. It's just busy.
Yeah.
So he's raking in all those sponsors, but what they're getting for their money. Where's the progress of the team? Is the team moving forward, or is it stagnated, or is it going backwards? You don't know with McLaren right now. You genuinely don't know.
It's really hard to figure that out.
And to hear, and for them to come out at the launch and saying, we're not completely happy with where we are with the car, and we're expecting, like, what? You don't, even if you're not happy, you don't say that at the launch.
That's
you
what
keep
they
those
said,
things
though.
Internal.
Yeah.
You keep that internal, but don't put that out there. And you haven't even started the season as yet. You've basically demotivated the entire team already.
I don't like what they've been doing managerial wise. I thought Andreas Seidel was a really good fit for them, and I thought it was going to give them some success.
But look, what Seidel was a Audi man, wasn't he?
I think he was a Porsche man. No, I thought he was Porsche.
Same umbrella.
Yeah, no, same. I guess.
So that the move he made to Alfa Romeo was a good one, because eventually Alfa Romeo is going to morph into Audi F1. And again, remember what Ron Dennis said. Ron Dennis said you're not going to win a championship being a customer team.
Exactly. So
McLaren went from being a Honda customer team to being a factory team to being now a customer team. And the engine that they ditched won the championship.
Yeah,
but then again, that was Alonso's fault. That was Alonso's fault. So that was Alonso's fault.
It was Alonso and McLaren's fault, because what happened, and a lot of people forget this, was that Honda was trying to get prepared for 2016, and McLaren, and let's just say Alonso for this, was just like, no, we want this shit ready now, like now. And they were like, oh, fuck, we are not prepared for that. And obviously that's why that car was terrible. And it was just, I can't believe. And it doesn't help when watching F1 around that time. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was
and it doesn't help ridiculous. Going into Honda land and talking about GP2 engine.
Oh yeah,
I think that was the final straw.
Yeah, it was the final
straw that brought the camel's back.
Yeah.
So,
And then they were like, oh my God, our chassis is so good. And then they got the Renault engines, and then they were still shit. So it's like, okay, so whose fault is it now? It's been a mess. It's gotten better. You've gone a race.
One thing I will say, though,
you've got a generational driver.
One thing I have to say, though, Mercedes better take heed of what's happening to McLaren, because Lewis left McLaren, and look what happened to them.
Yeah.
So I mean, they've not. Lewis is the good luck charm.
Apparently so, but yeah.
So they better pay attention. But then again, I mean, they've got strong leadership, and they have good drivers and they have a good structure. So they'll be all right when he goes.
Yes, sir.
They'll be all right. Yeah. All right.
So Thanos, I joined the space a little late. What are your thoughts on the W14,
man? Good so far. It looks good. It looks like a refined package.
They changed stuff, which is good, right? Like it doesn't look exactly the same as the W13, so that's good. That's whether it's an improvement or not, we don't know, but
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be much better. I think it's going to be a competitive package, but the question is how competitive.
Yeah, I think in relative to the other teams and how they were able to do their development for sure. I think here's my personal take on, not that you asked or anyone asked, but I think that when they built the W13, they were so knee deep in a title fight in 2021, and then they really relied on CFD and wind tunnel CFD and all that kind of stuff because they didn't have a car. And I think correlation was the biggest issue. They didn't know, or they couldn't really predict accurately how the car would behave at each circuit last year. And we saw that, right? Because the car went from it was really good in Barcelona, and then in Spa it was a dog, and so on and so forth.
But the problem, yeah, go on. I'll let you finish.
I was just going to say, I think the biggest issue that Mercedes had, obviously, there's aerodynamic issues like with the drag, and what I'm not qualified to talk about more because I'm not an engineer or really technical in that aspect. But I think we could all see that the issue was correlating the information that the computer spits out in the simulation and the wind tunnel, and then trying to get the figures to reflect on track. And I don't know if they improved that at all. I mean, we did a little bit better toward the end of the season with some upgrades and whatever. But what I will say is, if they were able to fix that problem and have more accuracy in the correlation, I think that they're better able to predict what upgrades, like, in the W14, and then what else it can do at the track. And that's really I think that was the biggest Achilles heel, last year. I don't think people will say that. I think people will look at the drag and the side pods and the stiff rear suspension, which all played a role in it, right? Because the simulations weren't accurate. But I think their biggest goal was trying to figure out how the hell this car behaves across a varied set of track layout.
But here's my thing with that in terms of the correlation. What were they going to correlate with? Because
not just correlation. Remember.
Remember, it's a brand new set of regulations, so they have no data set to compare against. So they're starting from scratch.
That's exactly my point with the W13. But with the W14, they have a whole year of the W13 on every circuit that they're already going to go to this year. They've had that W13, as flawed as it was, they were getting data from it and populating it, and now their correlation should hopefully be more one-to-one.
Which is what we said earlier, wasn't it, Kingsley? That now they have
a ton of data to work with.
They have exactly. They've got they can now build a more accurate model because they have all the information that they can work with, and it's the more information you have in your database, the better it is for you. So all of that early season experimental work that they were doing, hopefully it should pay off this year. If it doesn't pay off, then because the fact that they've not deviated from their original concept tells you that they genuinely believe that where they are. Because let's be honest, there's no such thing as the right concept. Let's get that. I don't think there's no such thing as the right concept, because even though Red Bull won the champion, doesn't mean
concept that works is the right concept.
Okay, so if Red Bull doesn't win the championship this year, you're saying the Red Bull concept is wrong?
Yeah, Mercedes have a better concept now.
Is it? And then
so it's the right concept that won. That's it.
It fluctuates. I don't know. I tend to. I don't see.
Yeah, the concept. If it worked, was the right concept. If Mercedes, if this was the car that Mercedes, okay, we don't know what the performance of the W14 would be, but if this was the car that they debuted 12 months ago in Bahrain, for example, then we will be talking about an evolution of this car to something else to improve on it. But for them, this is I still believe that this car is markedly different from the W13. In as much as we want to see some of the things I've seen, it's different from the way the W13 looked and everything in it. So I don't know. Let's see what happened in Bahrain first before I start commenting on the potential of the car. But I think
it
by and
should
large,
be
they've been able to
better.
shape the car in such a direction that they want to, and so correct some of the errors that they were seeing inherent in the W13 that didn't allow them to do upgrades, for example. And sometimes, I think it was in Silverstone, they were bringing up update at some point that they hadn't even texted before bringing to the and other stuff. So in this, at least for this particular car, I think they will have a direction in which they want to go and then basically improve on it going forward.
Yeah, and I mean, these guys again, like we've been saying, they're not idiots. They won a championship, and you don't win a championship just like that.
Yeah.
So they haven't forgotten how to build a quick car. Yes, they made a mistake. Mistakes do happen. It's happened to Adrian Newey. It's happened to every single one who's competed in Formula One. Is the question now is, have you learned? Have you learned from those mistakes? Have they rectified the mistakes and to bring themselves back into contention? So and I think they have. I genuinely think but how much have they improved? Because they're saying just by dropping weight alone, you can gain like 0.3 in performance. So if they've managed to drop significant amount of weight, they've gained performance just from that alone.
Just by dropping weight. Yeah.
How much performance have they gained by the redoing of the suspension?
Yeah.
How much have they gained by how they've now designed their other era structures, the Venturi tunnels and all of this, the floor, etc., etc.
Did it happen to catch your eye? You saw that angle where it looks like it's basically like the top bulge out. It kind of looks like.
Yeah, I saw it.
It's like they call it like a water slide or a water canyon or whatever.
I saw it.
And I'm interested in that. I was talking to a few people, and
what was that? Your thing's
You're
going off.
breaking, yeah.
We're losing him. We're losing him.
My bad.
Okay,
Can
go
you
on.
hear me now?
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So they were saying like every little kink or dent or bulge has a purpose. So a lot of people were saying that when you see that one tweet with the picture of the W13 and the W14 sort of side by side, not that one, well that one too, but like the one where it's like it shows that rear quarter angle from the front, you see basically that they're trying to channel air maybe more smoothly and more cleanly away from like just the exposed rear part of the car that was on the W13. So maybe they're trying to, not have as much disruptions in that rear area, because that was probably what was causing, we know that the rear suspension is also a big issue of why the car was reacting so stiffly to the porpoising. I mean, when you saw our car versus the Ferrari was doing like, it was bouncing, but it was like a dolphin, right? Like smooth. Our car was like slamming, like it was just like slamming into the ground. And I think that the rear suspension was probably had a lot to play a role in that, and from my very non-technical, non-engineer perspective, I think if they clean up that area and with the changes that they said they made that we can't see, with the naked eye, hopefully it'll be at least more balanced as a car.
Is it just me, or does the black color just kind of bring out some of the contours more boldly? I feel like some of the things that I was seeing from the images are things that have to do with the black color completely confusing how you're seeing it. Because the mates kind of, bring out the contour more.
There's someone just
it was a smooth thing. I don't think some of those things would be more pronounced the way they are with this kind of mate color of the black that we're seeing, basically.
Someone just shared a Autosport thing in the top, so you can probably see
that was me. I got
if you look at it, you can see.
Yeah, I'm gonna share the one that I was talking about too.
I think I know which one you're talking about. I think I know which one. But look, Mercedes has a lot. Last year, they have nowhere to hide this year. They can't say it was a new regulations or whatsoever it is. They did the dirty work. They did all the data gathering, the experimenting. So this year it's about they have to show that progress.
Amen. I can't wait for a 4-way fight for this title this year. I genuinely think we might get it this year. Between Russell, Hamilton, Verstappen, and Leclerc. I think it could happen. I think this might be
Dan, you're not even going to include Carlos in it or Checo? Well, Checo's a bum, but
yeah, I was.
But from this image, it seems that the W14 is longer.
Wait, hold on. Let's go back about 3 days ago when you called Rubens Barrichello a bum. How
and I called
you?
Dude. We're not going to do that. Dude,
listen.
Dude, we're not going to do that because you're not going to win that argument. I keep telling you, those guys are bum.
I actually think I can win the Barrichello argument. Listen,
no,
I was wrong about Irvine. I was wrong.
No, you can't. You can't win the Barrichello argument. You cannot. How are you going to win? How?
Because he's not a bum, and I can very much explain to you why he's not.
Okay, cool.
Do you want me? Cool. Do you want me to explain
I'm a dictator. Look, dude, I'm a dictator. I don't. This is not diplomacy. If I say they're bums, they're bums.
Oh my God.
And it's not. We're not gonna. You don't. Look, here's the rules of my space. My words is law. It's not. It's not a question of. Oh yeah, but no. If I say they're bums, they're bums. End of story. We're not gonna debate it any further than that. You just accept it. And just say, all right, yes.
It. I am the
you just go, yes, master, and then leave it. The bombs, and we're done. Yeah, but anyway, Diplo, let's go back. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so the Eddie Irvine thing, I was wrong. I think he's not. Actually, here, what is your definition of a bum? Because I think
Eddie Irvine, Rubens Barrichello.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Who else? Daniel Ricciardo. Who else? I mean, there's so many bums.
I don't think Ricciardo was a bum. I think he is now. I think at one point in his career, he was a top 3 driver in the world. God. I think you can make that argument.
And that got to his head. He felt like, he could. And that's the fun. And that's the thing, it's with Formula One, A guy comes in and he does good for a year or a couple or what, and then everybody immediately, he's a future world champion. And then you end up like,
he had 1 year.
That's
2018.
That's not how it works.
I
everybody's a future world champion to them who performs slightly well. No, you're not a future world champion. You're rubbish. You're bum.
My take was that he was a driver that came in with an incredible amounts of talent. He was outperforming cars that did not deserve to do stuff. He got podiums and with most of those cars. And when he got
which cars?
He got podiums with the Stewarts. Frankly, he did lose out to...
The Stewart won a race.
Won a race with Johnny Herbert, who I think talent-wise could have been better. And when he went to Ferrari, he played a backup role, obviously, as we all knew. He would have. And he had, at his tenure, arguably the greatest performance of all time. Look up Germany 2000. It is the best race he's ever done and is by far probably a top 5 race ever driven by anyone. And then after that, into his 40s, he was... What? What do you mean?
Did you just say Germany 2000 was top? Nick,
it's a top 5. It's a top 5 drive of all time.
We're gonna mute Nick because Nick's talking shit. Nick, you're on
What do you mean?
You're on time.
What do you mean?
Nick, put yourself on timeout. You're talking shit. Put yourself on timeout, dude. You're talking shit. We're not doing that.
Hold on.
Put yourself on timeout. We're not doing that.
But he kept being very successful after it, and he got wins and podiums in a Braun that we know fell off like a fucking cliff near the half.
Why did it fell off?
Right? Because it wasn't developed properly. We know that.
No, it's not. No, why wasn't it developed properly?
Because it was a fucking car that was bought for 1 pound.
No, because they didn't have any money to develop the car. You have to remember that car literally had no sponsor the entire year.
Guess who got the last win of that with that car? Barrichello. It wasn't Button. It was Barrichello. And then he fell off. But I think someone who had, and I believe it was off the top of my head, 11 wins, 14 pole positions. I don't think he was someone who could have ever challenged for a world championship, but I think to call him a bum is ridiculous. Because you know who I think a bum is? I think Nico Hülkenberg is a bum. I think Ocon is a bum.
Obviously,
I think guys like that.
We all can agree that Hülkenberg is a bum.
Yeah,
Barrichello is a bum too.
I think Irvine, you could kind of. I'm fine with him calling him a bum.
We mean you could kind of.
I'm fine with him calling him a bum.
What's the kind of for? He's a bum. The guy was basically a driving alcoholic. I don't know. He had a license.
You know, the thing is, I don't know why I'm defending him. He's on Epstein's list of calls. That man is not a good person. Yeah, no, I don't know if anyone knows that. If you go through Jeffrey Epstein's call list, Eddie Irvine is on it.
We're diverting. We're talking formula.
We are going a little bit
diverting.
This space is about to get blocked by Twitter because you mentioned it.
Anyway, Diplo, go on.
Hey,
I go back. Think Barrichello deserves a little bit more credit than he deserves. I think he was a great driver.
Look,
that got overshadowed by the greatest driver of all time to me.
Thanos, can we just agree? I think for the space that the definition of an F1 driver that becomes a bum is a person who loses their ability to stand up for themselves and fight at a competitive level. And Barrichello, by being the doormat to whoever he was at Ferrari, became a bum no matter what accomplishments he had.
Thank you. Okay, and on that note, Barrichello is a bum, and we're moving on. Diplo, you have back the floor because we can go back to you.
No, I gotta get going soon, but it's I just wanted to share
we're not gonna have any more conversation about Barrichello or anything.
Okay, I'm done.
We're moving on.
Okay, we're done with it. We're done with it.
All right.
I have my opinion. You have yours. It's fine.
No, I don't have an opinion.
I had that conversation at 5 a.m. because I was so heated.
I don't have an opinion. Like I said, I'm the dictator. Whatever I state is factual. Don't ask me any questions. Don't challenge me. That's it. We're moving on. All right.
I will keep challenging you until the day I die. I don't care.
Good luck with that one. All right. Thanks, Diplo. Well, you're moving on, Diplo. All right, cool. Thanks. Man.
Yeah, I might have to get going, but it was good catching up. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Most definitely, man. Season is coming back up, so we'll be back doing our usual weekly catch-ups and chats and so on. So, I've been on here since what? Bloody hell! I've been here Kings, we've been here for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's 1 in the afternoon for me.
Oh, wow. Anyway.
Because I live on the West Coast.
Whose fault is that? No, that's not my fault.
It's no one's fault.
Anyway, guys, I think, Kingsley, we're going to wrap it up now. It's been 2 hours. I'm tired. We had a long day working. I have a headache. But anyway, everyone who joined in, who tuned in, listened to us rambling on, it was nice having you back again in the house. The season is back, so we'll be back doing our regular rants,
yes, sir.
and so on. So, as always, like I always say, wherever you are in the world, stay safe, be good. Don't do the things I do because I won't get into trouble, but you will. So we catch up again on the other side. All right, take it easy, everyone. And
peace out, everyone.
Black is back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, baby. Oh, the Black Panther is back. Wakanda forever. Oh, bye bye.
Peace out, y'all.